U.S. regardless of any court rulings, as if reciprocal tariffs will go back in place on July 9th.
That's Fox Business Network's Edward Lawrence. So there's a new manhunt, in addition to ones in Louisiana and Arkansas. A Washington State father, Travis Decker, is wanted for murdering his 3 daughters. The 5, 8, and 9-year-olds were found dead on Monday.
Your memory will never be forgotten, and we will not stop pursuing justice for you until those that were accountable for this are found.
Chelan County Sheriff Mike Morrison. It's day 11 of the search for Grant Harden, a former police chief turned convicted rapist and murderer who broke out of a prison in Arkansas, while the final 2 escapees in a New Orleans jailbreak almost 3 weeks ago are still on the run. Antoine Massey and Derek Groves. America's listening to Fox News.
Stay on top of the latest forecast with America's Weather Team in the palm of your hands.
Here's the latest from America's Weather Center.
It's Fox weather updates throughout your busy day, every day.
That heat's going to be out there for one more day.
Temperatures being 30 degrees above average.
Put the power of over 100 meteorologists and the worldwide resources of Fox in your hands with the Fox Weather Podcast. Precise, personal, powerful. Subscribe and listen now at foxnewspodcasts.com. Connect to Fox News Audio on the Fox News app. Listen to hear your favorite hosts like Brian Kilmeade, Jimmy Fallon, and Guy Benson standing up for what's right, live and via podcast. Just click listen, then swipe right and hear the latest news updates on your time. And scroll down to hear the latest podcasts from Fox News. And it's even easier to listen in the car with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Get programming alerts and notifications. Fox News Audio is on the Fox News app. The voices America trusts. Download it now.
After some lean years for the U.S. military not meeting its recruiting goals, things have turned around.
Army leaders stated during an expo in Washington, D.C. Monday, this year's goals have already been met. Army Chief of Staff, General Randy George.
We'll meet our mission this week. Close 61,000 for our mission, and then continue. These are some of the best recruiting months that we have ahead of us.
Army Secretary Dan Driscoll says retention goals have also already been met, just halfway through the calendar year.
They're deciding, do they spend their lives with you? Do they bet their life on you?
Driscoll says the bottom line is,
it makes us optimistic about the direction we're going.
The Army has not met its recruiting goals this early in a year since 2014. Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
Nuclear talks with Iran may have hit a dead end. After several rounds of negotiations with the U.S., Iran's supreme leaders said today they will not stop enriching uranium, insisting it's for energy. The U.S. demands Iran stop making nuclear fuel, with President Trump warning through talks or military action he will not let Iran build nuclear weapons. And now to dealing with a country that already did build nukes, North Korea. Its rival South Korea has just elected a new president.
In his inaugural address, President Lee Jae-myung vowed to bring peace to the Korean peninsula through talks and cooperation, but warned his government would use strong deterrence to deal with North Korean nuclear threats. President Lee was voted into power yesterday, the Liberal Party candidate taking a comfortable victory in an election triggered by the impeachment of his conservative predecessor, Yoon Suk-yeol. Lee wants to strengthen his country's alliances with the United States and Japan. He had been accused by critics of tilting towards China. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
On Wall Street, stock futures are rising modestly after a second day of gains to start June. The Dow went up 214 points. The NASDAQ rose 156. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
Wealth Health Radio.
The biggest fears that people have is, do I have enough money to retire?
Retirement doesn't have to be complicated.
To make sure that you're going through retirement with confidence.
Learn principles of income planning.
There's a lot of different facets that you need to take into consideration when you're retiring.
Tune into Wealth Health Radio with Joe Murphy, noon to 1 p.m. Sundays on AM 560. The Answer.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
The summer heat in Chicagoland is no joke. And if your old air conditioner is making funny noises, you may already know it's time for a new unit.
Look, your air conditioner, it's a disaster. People are telling me it's the worst ever.
Don't sweat it, literally. When it comes to cooling your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Rebates are still available, financing is flexible, and at Air Right installations are smooth and professional with no surprises.
It's beautiful. Some people say it's the coolest air anyone's ever felt. I don't know. That's just what they're saying. It's doing an incredible job, really tremendous.
Plus, tell them AM 560 sent you and Air Right will give you $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling, doing it right since 1959.
You deserve a dedicated financial resource. Meet Michelle Shute with West Point Financial Group, a Mass Mutual firm. Michelle builds lifelong relationships, guiding families through legacy strategies, from grandparents down to grandkids. She helps people secure their financial independence. Her tailored approach to savings can help you prepare for college, retirement, or business protection. Michelle's needs-based approach helps you prepare for all of life's biggest moments. Michelle Shute of West Point Financial Group, helping you earn, learn, and secure your tomorrow. Email Michelle at mshoot@financialguide.com. That's MSCHOOT @financialguide.com. Local firms or sales offices of Massachusetts Mutual Life Insurance Company. Mass Mutual, Springfield, Massachusetts 01111-001, and are not subsidiaries of Mass Mutual or its affiliated companies. Michelle Shute is a registered representative of and offers securities through MML Investor Services, LLC, member SIPC. Supervisory office located at 30 South Wacker Drive, Suite 2700, Chicago, Illinois, 60606.
As you know, our friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He didn't stop by simply creating the best pillow. Mike created the best bed sheets ever. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me, which is crucial for my busy schedule. Mike is offering the best deal on his Giza Dreams bed sheets. Any size and any color, just $49.98. That's right, you can even get queens, kings, split kings, and cow kings. Any size and any color, just $49.98. Order now, because when they're gone, they're gone. Also, for a limited time, when your order is over $100, you'll receive $100 in free digital gifts. Call 800-489-0201. Use promo code LIBERTY or go to mypillow.com. Make sure you use the promo code LIBERTY for the amazing offer of $49.98 on the Giza Dreams sheets, any size and any color. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
It's almost time for AM 560's annual golf outing, presented by Signature Bank. And once again, AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation as they support America's first responder and military heroes, including homeless veterans, and to help America never forget 9/11. It's all happening on Wednesday, June 18th at McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. Enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf.
It's June 4th, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. Today is National Safe Day. It's about preventing gun tragedies at home. According to nationwidechildren's.org, every year, nearly 1,300 kids die from gun accidents in homes, and many more are seriously injured. In 1989, thousands died in the Tiananmen Square massacre in Beijing, China. Chinese troops using assault rifles and tanks massacred unarmed civilians who had taken part in pro-democracy protests. Also on this day in 1984. The Boss, Bruce Springsteen, releases Born in the USA. The 15-time platinum album has sold more than 30 million copies, making it his most successful album. Born on this day in 1975, actress, director, producer, screenwriter Angelina Jolie, and George III, the King of Britain during the American Revolution. I'm CJ Papa. That's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
Hi, it's Sean Thompson. You know, there's an old saying out there. Small hinges swing big doors. In other words, doing little things right can have a big result. Tom Fortino and the team of Alpha Wealth Group have been helping people retire since 2010 and have found that while many have an investment plan, very few have a tax plan. And that can be the element that makes a huge difference when it comes to money you'll have to spend in your retirement. What if you had a plan that protected you against future tax increases by the government? What if it kept your Social Security taxes from going up, all while keeping your Medicare premiums down? It is possible, and that's just the beginning. What kind of hinges are on your retirement door? You either have a tax plan or you don't. Call Tom Fortino and the team at Alpha Wealth Group today at 630-864-6711. That's 630-864-6711. Or download his complimentary Alpha Wealth reports by visiting alphawealthgroup.com.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $257. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part? My guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side. Your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
Perhaps you're a collector, or perhaps all of a sudden you have a collection. Maybe it's an inheritance. How do you know what it's worth? This is Sean Thompson for Donley Auction. The market for antiques and collectibles is changing all the time. What is your collection worth right now? Well, I've got an easy way to find out. It's simple. You contact Donley Auctions. With their worldwide audience of live and in-person auctions, they have a good idea of how to tell you exactly what it's worth at exactly right now. They're ready to put top dollar in your pocket. The bigger the collection, the better. Go to DonleyAuctions.com and get the info on all things that they buy and sell to have an idea of exactly what Donley does and how much they need your collection. They have so many buyers, it's a great time to sell. Just simply make a phone call. Donley has traveled all over the country to pick up collections. Just call and talk to the people at Donley Auctions at 815-923-7000. Donley Auctions is your trusted partner in turning your collections into cash. DonleyAuctions.com.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gay Vallis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Have you seen what's been happening in the stock market lately? The market has had some rough days. And if you think those numbers don't mean anything to you and your retirement plan, think again. Can you afford to lose a big chunk of your retirement savings in a single day at this stage of your life? If you want to make sure you aren't taking on more risk than you're comfortable with, call the team at Scott Tucker Solutions now. 847-474-3888 or go to 560retirement.com. Make sure you're prepared for whatever happens in the market, and if you already have a retirement plan, let's take a look to make sure you're properly diversified. Call Scott Tucker Solutions today to help make sure more bad days in the market don't disrupt your retirement plans. 847-474-3888 or go to 560retirement.com. That's 847-474-3888 or go to 560retirement.com. Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
It's important to have a heating and cooling company you know you can depend on. That company is the original Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling. They aren't one of those massive companies with newer techs and subcontractors. Oh no, Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling send only their own highly skilled techs. From service to installation and everything in between, the work quality and customer service is the best. For 40 years, the original Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling has kept homeowners and business customers comfy and warm in the winter and nice and cool in the warmer months. Don't call the big guys, call the best. Call Carrie at 847-545-1700 or visit arlingtonheightsheatingandcooling.net. That's Carrie at 847-545-1700 or online at arlingtonheightsheatingandcooling.net. The original Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling, not the biggest, just the best.
Spring,
A time to get outside, be active, play with the grandkids, enjoy life. But if high blood pressure is holding you back, the sooner you get control of it, the sooner you'll stop being a walking time bomb. High blood pressure is a serious issue. Your blood vessels are constricted, your mortality risk is high. So what can you do besides take medications with side effects? Well, there's a delicious juice that can help bring your numbers back down. It's called 120 Life, and it has natural ingredients that have shown to lower blood pressure. Yes, a superfood juice is showing amazing results for high blood pressure without the side effects of big pharma medication. Try 120 Life risk-free now with a 2-week trial pack. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied. Order now. That's 120life.com. Use coupon code 560 at checkout for 15% off.
Can you afford not to have effective video surveillance? Is your outdoor inventory at risk? Theft and vandalism can hit your bottom line hard. Stop these events before they happen. Monitor your business 24/7 with alarm detection systems. We prevent crime with live operators watching video alerts, ensuring your assets and employees are secure. It's not worth the liability when you can effectively protect what matters most. Call ADS at 1-630-844-6322 or visit adsalarm.com for a free demo. Alarm license number 127000143. Spending too much on security guards to patrol your property? With rising crime rates, guards may not be enough. And the cost, it's adding up fast. At Alarm Detection Systems, we offer a more innovative solution. Live video monitoring. Cameras provide extra coverage in even the hardest to reach areas. Unlike guards, they never get intimidated. Our operators watch video alerts in real time, cut costs, increase coverage, and stay secure. Call ADS at 1-630-844-6322 or visit adsalarm.com for a free demo. Alarm license number 127000143.
Perhaps you're a collector. Or perhaps all of a sudden you have a collection. Maybe it's an inheritance. How do you know what it's worth? This is Sean Thompson for Donley Auction. The market for antiques and collectibles is changing all the time. What is your collection worth right now? Well, I've got an easy way to find out. It's simple. You contact Donley Auctions with their worldwide audience of live and in-person auctions. They have a good idea of how to tell you exactly what it's worth at exactly right now. They're ready to put top dollar in your pocket. The bigger the collection, the better. Go to DonleyAuctions.com and get the info on all things that they buy and sell to have an idea of exactly what Donley does and how much they need your collection. They have so many buyers, it's a great time to sell. Just simply make a phone call. Donley has traveled all over the country to pick up collections. Just call and talk to the people at Donley Auctions at 815-923-7000. Donley Auctions is your trusted partner in turning your collections into cash. DonleyAuctions.com.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Be prepared for tax changes in 2025. Without a solid strategy, you could risk losing more of your hard-earned savings than necessary. VestGen Wealth Partners can help develop proactive tax plans designed to help keep more money in your pockets. Visit GetRetiredStayRetired.com for a free review.
Advisory services offered through VestGen Advisors, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Private Client Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Private Client Services and VestGen Advisors, LLC are unaffiliated entities. Any information discussed does not constitute investment advice. VestGen Advisors and Private Client Services do not offer tax legal advice.
Are you looking for a peaceful and enduring resting place for yourself or a loved one? Discover Fairview Memorial Park in North Lake, Illinois, a tranquil haven where your family's legacy can be honored for generations. We're excited to announce the upcoming completion of our beautiful new garden mausoleum opening this spring, offering both above-ground burial and cremation options. This serene space is surrounded by meticulously maintained landscaping and beautiful trees. With limited space available available in our mausoleum, now's the time to plan ahead. Reserve your family's place today with prices starting around $7,000. And for a limited time, take advantage of a $500 discount when you pre-purchase a crypt. To learn more or secure your spot, visit fairview-memorialpark.com. That's fairview-memorialpark.com. Or stop by Fairview Memorial Park at 900 North Wolf Road in North Lake. Fairview Memorial Park. Peacefully beautiful.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Clouds and periods of rain. Thunderstorm for today. Could be some pounding on the roads. Watch out for that if you're driving today. Highs near 60. Partly cloudy for tonight. Low 53. Clouds and sun. Nice day tomorrow. The high at 75. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So I don't know if you've heard, but it's Pride Month. You probably heard it if you live in one of those suburbs that has been taken over by a coven of middle-aged wine moms and their protruding fupas that have eradicated all thoughtful, intelligent discourse. So that would include many of the wealthy, leafy, honky suburbs around Chicagoland. But you may not otherwise know, 40%, just a reminder, and 40% of the days on the calendar, thanks to the Lavender Bund and its supplicants, now are dedicated to one coalition partner or another in the LGBTQIA2S+++++++++ diaspora, which, of course, includes the entire month of Day, but hardly limited to it. We're only a few months away from LGBT History Month, which is the entire month of October, or Trans Awareness Month, which is the entire month of November, and so on and so forth. I'm still recovering from Lesbian Visibility Day, which was April 26th. And, of course,
because it was close to your birthday.
Harvey Milk Day, my favorite's probably Harvey Milk Day in May 22nd, although the USS Harvey Milk is being renamed. We'll get to that. And then, of course, May 25th, Pansexual and Pan-Romantic Awareness Day. I don't know if you had the same backyard barbecue I did to generate awareness of pansexuality and pan-romanticism. But anyway, we are in the middle of it. Now, not everybody's on board. I found this interesting. In Idaho, there is a bar that is taking a different tack, smart, zig when everybody else is zagging, so to speak. And they are doing Heterosexual Awesomeness Month instead.
That's awesome.
This in Eagle, Idaho, the Old State Saloon, Heterosexual Awesomeness Month. Specials include Beer for Breeders Monday. All heterosexual males dressed like heterosexual males receive one free draft. Teton Tuesday, buy one, get one drink for ladies. A Duo Deal Wednesdays. You get like 10% off entire food and beverage bill for heterosexual couples. I mean, if we're going to, I suppose it makes sense if we're going to, just sort of identify by something that is relatively unremarkable and doesn't make us unique, then if it's good for one sexual orientation, it's good for another. They've got a bunch of cool T-shirts, too. Like they've got the rainbow T-shirt, Copyright God.
Oh.
Yeah, the LGBT, the Lavender Boone doesn't own the rainbow.
They did hijack it, though. Yeah.
Maso
to groom children.
Make America Straight Again.
Okay.
MASA. Sort of a spin on Make America Safe Again, Make America Straight Again. They have some local varietals of that, Make Boise Straight Again. And so on and so forth. So I just thought that was kind of fun. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. If you're observing Pride Month, going to a drag, taking your toddler to a drag queen story hour, or I don't know, parading in the streets in your community scantily clad, or whatever it is you're supposed to do. What's pro forma for these month and these events.
Well, they did have that drag queen reading time at the Beverly Library yesterday. Today's Wednesday, so yes, it was held yesterday at 9:30, and 7 protesters were seen outside. Oh no! But it went on as planned.
Great.
Supporters passed out chalk and drew rainbows on the sidewalk, while the 7 that were there protesting. I thought there'd be more people out there protesting.
Wonderful. The White House has no plans to offer a proclamation because what is there to proclaim?
Wasn't it last year when Biden had people there and a guy, girl, tranny, expose their breasts on the White House lawn?
Yeah, there's a bunch of dudes sporting bare breasts on the White House lawn last year to celebrate.
That was bringing civility back to the White House.
Yesterday, just interesting too. Just be a little bit careful if you want to run around with your bare breasts, dudes. I'm talking about, obviously, because sometimes you can impinge upon, I don't know, first responders efforting to do their work. This happened in Minneapolis, and they've got video of it. An ambulance in Minneapolis had a detour because a group of people in thongs had taken over an intersection, or had taken over a thoroughfare that includes a bridge. The Grain Belt Bridge was blocked for over 25 minutes during peak traffic as an ambulance was trying to get to someone in an emergency situation and had to go all the way around. The group of people in thongs created a blockade on the bridge, yelling, "We love whores, we love penis, and honk if you love strippers." So that's apparently, I assume we'll see that like on Ogden Avenue in Downers Grove or something like that. So I look forward, as I'm sure the people listening do as well.
Does this thing work? Nothing works here. Here's the thing. I don't feel like I have to celebrate anybody's sexuality, not even my own. I mean, I think it's cool that bar in Idaho is, they're trying to be cheeky and offering an alternative, but I don't have to go to parades. I don't have to celebrate it. I don't want to, because now being gay is not enough. Now you gotta be trans, because you're not getting enough attention because everybody's gay. I'm sorry, a lot of people in my world are gay, and now that's not enough. So now you got to push it more. Now, now I'm going to be trans, or now I'm going to be pan, or that whole list of items that you can be, when really you can just be and should be a man or a woman.
Well, some of the more outspoken in the movement, in the Bund, are a bit perturbed with Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, because he's ordered the Navy to take the unusual step of renaming a ship. You remember, we covered it on the show when the USS Harvey Milk was christened, that supposedly was a gay rights icon. I guess for people who think that Harvey Milk fits that bill, maybe you don't know as much about Harvey Milk as you should. Well, Hegseth announcing this month a shot across the bow of the Lavender Bund, if you will, that he has ordered Navy Secretary John Phelan to strip the name Harvey Milk off of that naval ship. Well, what say you to that? Oh boy, that's a fight. That's a throwdown. That's homophobia. That is bigotry. No less than Pagliacci Schumer has weighed in on this because he's pro-pederast. Erasing Harvey Milk's name is disgusting. Blatant discrimination. It's discrimination. I don't know how that. And during Pride Month to boot, he served the U.S. Navy and his country honorably, and he was assassinated while serving the public and fighting for LGBTQ plus rights. Hegseth should be ashamed of himself and reverse this immediately. The Senate minority leader has weighed in.
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. And you can also text us.
Well, I mean, Harvey Milk is a very complicated individual. So, for example, when he was 33 years old, he married, quote unquote, a 16-year-old boy.
Oh, that's illegal in some states.
Yeah. And he also had this odd connection to Jim Jones.
Oh.
You remember the Jonestown Massacre.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
The cult. Well, one cult begets another, I suppose. David in Mount Greenwood, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yes, hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. Yes, so Zoe and Danielle Carter were there from Chicago Flips Red, and myself and a few others as counter protesters at the Beverly Public Library to the Drag Queen Storytime Hour for kids 0 to 5 years old, which is a travesty. So we're trying to get the word out because with it being Gay Pride Month, I'm sure this is going to be a trend at a lot of the public libraries. And if somebody doesn't take a stand like we did, they're going to come to a neighborhood and a library near you.
Well, David, they said it was a family-oriented, family-friendly event in a safe and welcoming environment. Did you see any of the kids going in or out, or any of the parents?
We did. It was a full house. We've probably seen a half a dozen. I'm sure they snuck a lot of them in early. There's an organization in Beverly at the Beverly Unitarian Church on 103rd and Longwood Drive, and it's called Southsiders for Peace. They've been around a while, and they're anything about peace, but they mobilized probably 100 of their people that swarmed the door. So we counter-protested, but they were the key socialist-funded organization that spearheaded this travesty for the kids.
Thanks for the call, David. Appreciate that. Bill, Northwest Side.
Yes, good morning, Dan and Amy. Yeah, I'm observing White Hetero Wednesday today.
There you go.
Just a one-day event, huh?
Yes, we want to start out small. We'll try for a month next year.
Yeah, it's a slow run up. I mean, just the history lesson, too, on Harvey Milk and Jim Jones. Frisco polls back in the day, like Harvey Milk, never seemed to care how Jones could, at the snap of his fingers, direct hundreds of people to stack a public meeting or volunteer for a campaign. Milk just knew that he benefited from that control and therefore never bothered to do anything to inhibit Jones's cult from operating with the city. Instead, he actively aided and abetted a homicidal maniac. It wasn't just local hacks Jones commanded respect from. He did it. He held court with former First Lady Rosalind Carter, Vice Presidential candidate Walter Mondale, and then Governor Jerry Moonbeam Brown, and so forth. There's so much to it. San Francisco at the time and Harvey Milk's role in the local politics. He has been lionized as this iconic figure, but you scratch below the surface, and he was anything but. Does he belong on his name adorning a naval ship just because he served? No, he does not.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 5:38, Elon Musk gets more openly critical of Trump's BBB. 5:38.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here is Nikki Whaley.
Good morning. It's 69 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. President Trump's high tariffs on imported steel and aluminum are now in effect. The 25% tariffs doubled up to 50% just after midnight Eastern Time. The White House says the increase is in response to trade practices that undermine national security. Trump announced the new tariffs last week during a rally at a Pittsburgh steel mill, saying they will even further secure the steel industry in the U.S. Elon Musk is taking aim at President Trump's massive so-called Big Beautiful Bill less than a week after bowing out of government service.
President Trump has dubbed the tax cuts and spending plans as a big, beautiful bill. On Tuesday, his recently close advisor, Elon Musk, called it outrageous, saying, "Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong." This is not the first time that Mr. Musk has attacked the bill. He said he was disappointed after House Republicans passed it last month, adding that it would increase the budget deficit and undermine the work that the DOGE team is doing. The White House press secretary said the president stood behind his bill, and House Speaker Mike Johnson said that Mr. Musk is terribly wrong. Kate Fisher, Washington.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com. Blindster.com's Memorial Day Encore sale is your last chance to save up to 50% statewide on custom blind shades and shutters. Don't miss out on these incredible savings. These deals end June 5th. Shop now at Blindster.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now...
Mike Gallagher believes we need to stand together.
The mainstream media to explode with joy. MAGA is turning on Trump. You get the picture? And this is precisely why so many of us are reluctant to pile on. We give the haters and the doubters, we give them an opportunity to batter the Trump agenda.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Charlie Kirk at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Attention! Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-836-3388. 800-836-3388. Again, that's 800-836-3388.
Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime adventure. Set sail August 16th through the 23rd on the Patriots Alaska Cruise with me, Larry Elder, Mike Gallagher, plus special guests Jennifer Horn and Joe Piscopo. Experience breathtaking glaciers, fjords, and wildlife, all while diving into critical discussions about America's future with today's top political voices. Cabins are going fast. Text TRAVEL to 94878 right now to secure your spot before it's too late. Travel to 94878 right now to secure your spot before it's too late.
Welcome back to Ask Hassleus.
How do you get pee out of an old mattress?
By trading in that old mattress for a new Beauty Rest or Sealy Posturepedic.
But that'll cost a lot of money.
Not at Hassleus Mattress. Through Monday, trade in your old mattress and get additional savings of $248 off a queen and $348 off a king. Plus, next day delivery and haul away of the old mattress for pee.
What was that?
Sorry, I meant for free.
Sure you did.
Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you at Hassleus.com.
Protect your liver and give it the support that it deserves with Active Liver from New Nordic. Find it in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or Amazon, or NewNordicUSA.com.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Periods of rain, thunderstorm today. Could be some ponding on the roadways. Look out for that. High today is 60. Partly cloudy for tonight, low 53. Clouds and sun, pleasant. It'll be a warmer day tomorrow. The high tomorrow afternoon, 75. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
morning, Dan and Amy. Yesterday, we mentioned this Elon Musk interview with CBS News earlier in the week, in which he, I think, rightly observed that his experience in government informs his understanding of the big, beautiful bill. And his conclusion was that legislation can either be big or beautiful, but it can't be both, not if you have an interest in reducing the size, scope, and expense of government.
He's seen how the sausage is made for the first time.
He has built upon that yesterday, posting on his platform, X. I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. It will massively increase the already gigantic budget deficit to $2.5 trillion and burden American citizens with crushingly unsustainable debt. Peter Doocy picked up on those posts and queried one White House spokeswoman, Caroline Leavitt, about them.
And something that just crossed, Caroline, how mad do you think President Trump is going to be when he finds out that Elon Musk said, I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it.
Look, the president on this bill, it doesn't change the president's opinion. This is one big, beautiful bill, and he's sticking to it. Cameron, thank you.
Does it change yours? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line and text line. Rand Paul
agrees with Elon Musk.
Well, yeah, but he's got a lot more specifics. And he also is the target of a sort of a peremptory response from President Trump, as opposed to a reactive one you're getting, and a rather polite one from, at least from Caroline Leavitt. We'll see if President Trump wants to weigh in or not. Donald Trump posting about Rand Paul. Rand Paul has very little understanding of the BBB, especially the tremendous growth that is coming. He loves voting no on everything. He thinks it's good politics, but it's not. The BBB is a big winner. Rand votes no on everything, but he never has any practical or constructive ideas. His ideas are actually crazy. Losers, in parentheses, exclamation point. The people of Kentucky can't stand him. This is a big growth bill. No. Nope. And Rand Paul reiterated his main objection to the BBB. And he's digging in on it, as well as areas where he is willing to compromise to get, what is the best available deal from a practical perspective. But there is a red line that he's drawn, and he's manning it. See if you find this to be principled or a loser, exclamation point, of an idea.
Well, the main thing that I object to is raising the debt ceiling $4 or $5 trillion. That's an indication that we'll borrow that much. It's an indication that we'll put the debt on the back burner. We'll have no more discussion of it for a year or two. And really, we're locked in a year right now where in March of this year, most of the Republicans, not me, voted to continue the Biden spending levels in March. So we're operating under a continuing resolution which originated as Biden spending levels. You remember Republicans saying, Bidenomics, Biden inflation, Biden this, Biden that. Well, they voted for that in March. So the deficit here at the end of the fiscal year, at the end of September, will be about $2.2 trillion. I'm not for that, so I voted against the spending levels. But now they want me to vote for $5 trillion worth of increase in a debt ceiling, and I'm just not for that. That's not conservative. It'll be the first time that conservatives for 6 months now. I said I will not vote to raise the debt ceiling $5 trillion, but I'm pretty much open to compromise on everything else in the bill. I want to make the tax cuts permanent. I supported them in 2017. I think it's the best thing we did for the economy. It's why the economy thrived in the first Trump term until it was shut down by the pandemic. So I do want the tax cuts. I want them to be permanent. I'm for a lot of spending cuts, but I'll compromise and get as much as I can. I'm just not going to take responsibility for the debt. the debt has always been a Democrat problem and a big government problem. Once this bill votes and this debt ceiling goes through, the debt is owned by the GOP, and there is no more campaigning and saying this is the Democrats. It will be owned by the Republicans, and I think that's a huge mistake. It'll be the first time that conservatives lose their moral high ground by voting for a debt ceiling increase, and not a small debt ceiling increase. This will be historically the greatest increase in the debt ceiling ever in our history, at a time when we're having trouble selling the 10-year bond, we're having interest rates at 5%. We also are having the interest payment over $1 trillion. Imagine what happens if the interest payment doubled. We're paying on average about 3.5% now. We were paying 1.7% on the debt. What if it doubles again? I think it'll be unmanageable. It'll crowd out all other spending. So I think we have to draw a line in the sand and take a stand here.
And those also drawing a line in the sand and taking a stand include Ron Johnson.
Yeah, we've had him on the show.
Perhaps Mike Lee. Perhaps a couple of other.
But you can't have more than 3, right?
Republican senators. Well, it's
defect.
First of all, we're looking still at this being on a July 4th timeline, and that's a rosy scenario. So one of the things that's happening, the same thing that Ron Johnson has done, is put down markers. Put down markers and say this is one of the things where we should draw a red line, and we should demand that this be a provision in the BBB. We shouldn't push off Rand Paul's red line, a debt ceiling debate, and thus any real discussion of significant spending restraint past the 2026 election by preemptively raising the debt ceiling by $5 trillion. And essentially doing so, guaranteeing you're adding $5 trillion to the debt over the course of this time period through the 2026 election, so you can have the same discussion after it. It smacks of political cowardice. It smacks of hypocrisy. You say one thing when Biden is and the new Marxist Party is in control, and then you turn around and do basically a facsimile of what they do while you have spent all this time parading around as a fiscal conservative. You can understand the frustration by people who are serious about reducing the size, scope, and expense of government. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line, Dan in Salem, Wisconsin.
Hey, Dan and Amy, my opinion is, we all had people that helped us, and then they turn around and talk about you behind your back because they didn't get what they wanted. They started crying like a little baby. So I think Elon Musk needs to read Melanie Beattie's Codependent No More book.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Dan. I think you can be an ally of Trump and also be critical of particular positions or decisions. I don't think the two are mutually exclusive. They got along very well in the White House on Friday when he got the gold key to the White House and all of that jazz. And he has, done some great things in advance of Trump's agenda. He is not beyond reproach, Elon Musk, but neither is President Trump beyond reproach. And
they're respectfully disagreeing with each other.
Well, I mean, he's getting a little pointed, but it seems like there's sort of a slow burn. Not to mention, just with respect to Elon, there should be pushback on him too. Are you upset because there are things that you want that are not in the one big beautiful bill, the BBB? He is a beneficiary, as I've said for years, which is why my opinion of Elon Musk has been mixed. Been a beneficiary of government largesse in the form of green energy subsidies. We have subsidies at the federal and state level where rich people buying $90,000 Teslas are being underwritten by middle-income people with $7,000, $8,000 subsidies. That's silly. It's terrible. That's terrible. But Elon's been a beneficiary of that. I don't see him railing against that as publicly as he does some of the other areas of waste, fraud, and abuse identified by Doge. So That's the sort of thing we're talking about. The Wall Street Journal opining in reaction to Musk's criticism. The House bill could be far better on tax and spending reduction. The Senate could make improvements such as reducing the $40,000 SALT cap, state and local tax deduction, scrapping the tax exclusions for tips and overtime. Can't do that because that was a promise made by Trump. And reducing the federal Medicaid match for able-bodied adults. Can and should do that. But the House bill does avoid a $4.5 trillion tax hike next year and cut spending by some $1.5 trillion over 10 years, making some useful reforms to Medicaid, student loans, and food stamps. It also ends most of the quote-unquote Inflation Reduction Act's green energy subsidies. But maybe Mr. Musk doesn't want to eliminate that pork.
Oh, yes. That could be something in the bill that does not benefit him. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, or you could text us. Our text line is up and running.
Musk also said on X, this was last week, there is no change to tax incentives for oil and gas, and slashing solar energy credits is unjust. But what's more unjust is this damage that it does to people's lives during storms and blackouts, because ultimately you can't replace a human life, which is sort of parodying some of the Chicken Little claims of the, eco-supremacists, the climate lobby. The Wall Street Journal opining it's rich that he is denouncing the House bill for not cutting spending enough, while also fuming that it kills green energy tax credits as if they are a matter of life and death for Tesla. Yeah. So, again, not beyond reproach, but it doesn't mean that his criticism of the bill being too big to be beautiful is without some merit. Is it the best that can be done, given the political reality on the ground in D.C.? Perhaps, but I don't think anybody should be upset at Rand Paul or Ron Johnson or others for pushing the envelope to see if they can't get some of the big spenders in the Republican caucuses to heal, rather than it always being sort of the real conservative reformers and libertarian types that have to heal. Glenn in Orlando, Florida.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So I always believed there were two enemies of the people, the criminals and the government. And we need to use the Constitution to ensure that the politicians do not become the legalized version of the first one. So shrink the government.
Oh, Glenn, are you there?
But you cut out. The two enemies of the people are government and criminals, and then go ahead.
And we need to use the Constitution so that the politicians don't become the legalized version of the first one. Shrink the government.
Thanks, Glenn. Just another data point to consider in the context of this discussion, and we'll talk about it more with Brian Westbury from First Trust at the bottom of the 7 o'clock hour. A analysis by chief economist at Apollo suggests the U.S. government credit default swap spreads, which reflect the cost of protecting a loan against default, are trading at levels similar to Greece and Italy. That's not good. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
At AlmostFreeTeeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant-supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
At Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, we honor traditions, celebrate faith, and cherish memories. Take an active role in establishing your legacy for future generations by pre-planning your final arrangements today. Alleviate your loved ones of future financial burden. Lock in today's prices and take advantage of interest-free financing and no hidden fees. Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
Charlie, is there something better we can do with all these pallets, OCC, and shrink wrap? It just keeps building up.
Well, we have a trash company that's supposed to haul it away. I guess they're not keeping up.
Well, maybe we should shop around. All this paper, plastic, metal, this can all be recycled. We spend way too many hours just moving it around.
Actually, my buddy's company uses Combined Resources in Addison. They pick up recyclables all over Chicago and safely dispose of it. They have this huge recycling center. Apparently, it saves them a lot in waste expenses, too.
Well, let's give Combined Resources a call.
Since 1986, Combined Resources Inc. has been your one-stop shop recycling and sustainability partner. CRI's programs reduce labor and hauling costs, boost rebate returns, and help your company go green. If your company has paper, cardboard, plastic, pallets, and metal that you want cleared and recycled, CRI will take care of it all and help you meet sustainability goals. Call 877-CRI-PLAS and learn how CRI supports smarter recycling at combinedresources.us. Combined Resources Inc., turning waste into worth, one resource at a time.
Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. The Trump administration notched another win at the Supreme Court last week. The court stayed a lower court's ruling, which had blocked the president from revoking protected status to 500,000 migrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. This decision paves the way for these immigrants to be removed from the United States. A district court judge had barred DHS from terminating the program without providing a case-by-case review for each of the 500,000 illegal immigrants. An appeals court refused to stay that holding. The Supreme Court's decision is a welcome one, but it shouldn't be surprising. Executive power is at its zenith when it comes to managing foreign policy, which encompasses immigration. What's more, the holding is really the bare minimum in interpreting immigration law. By removing those in our country illegally, the Trump administration is simply enforcing the laws as written.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so the U.S. Open is next week and then the weekend after this weekend at Oakmont in Pennsylvania, so qualifying is going on. There's a great story coming from the qualifiers and a sort of a sad story. What could have been a great story, but it's not going to be, not this year. Which do you want to hear first?
I'd like to hear the sad story first and then good news afterwards.
Sad story.
Hunker down, people.
31-year-old from Cantonsville, Maryland, named Nick Barrett, who's a UPS driver right now.
Wow.
Still chasing the dream. I love it.
Good for him.
At a Woodmont qualifier, he was one of 84 golfers trying to claim one of 4 spots for the Open. He still had a chance after his first round, shooting a 2 over 73. Now, admittedly,
oh, here we go.
Probably not much of a chance.
Did he birdie the first hole, then have some pars afterwards?
Yeah. And he said he played well because he didn't lose any balls. Yeah. So he shoots 73 after his first round.
Okay. Got it.
Following his round, he went to have a quick lunch.
Oh, don't.
When he experienced a shocking realization. In his pocket was the scorecard from the first round. Oh, no. He was supposed to have signed and handed in at the scorer's tent immediately after the round. By the time he realized it, the group behind them had already signed their cards and come through, and so USG officials had no recourse other than to disqualify him.
And today he's back to wearing brown and driving a truck.
Yeah, now he's back to being King of Queens. So close.
Well, I mean, come on.
Missed it by
Where's
that
his
much.
caddy to tell him, hey, where's your scorecard? Sign it. And I guess we're done babysitting at a certain age.
Well, he's 31. He's obviously played tournament golf before. Just one of those things, probably excited.
Okay, do we have time for the good news story?
This is a quick one, yeah. A 17-year-old sophomore from Snellville, Georgia, shot 63-63, 18 under in an Atlanta qualifier. He beat the pros, the actual PGA Tour pros trying to qualify by 8 strokes, the best pro who tried to qualify, and he beat former Masters champion Zach Johnson by 10. This kid's, Mason Howell, looks like he's going to be a star.
Today it's going to rain all day and be chilly. It is now 6 a.m. WIND, Chicago.
The U.S. is doubling down. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, on tariffs on some imports.
A 50% tax will be added to most steel and aluminum imported to the U.S. The president announced the spike last week while visiting U.S. Steel near Pittsburgh, calling the industry vital to national security and the supply chain.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. The U.S. is giving countries trying to negotiate trade deals to avoid tariffs that are looming a deadline of today to give their best offers. President Trump posted on Truth Social overnight he likes China's leader, but he's extremely hard to make a deal with. Elon Musk has shaken up Washington again. The ex-leader of the Department of Government Efficiency is calling President Trump's big, beautiful budget bill a disgusting abomination and that Congress is making America bankrupt. House Speaker Mike Johnson says Musk's terribly wrong.
For him to come out and pan the whole bill is to me just very disappointing, very surprising.
The House-passed bill is facing some resistance from Senate Republicans who demand more spending cuts, warning the bill will balloon the U.S. debt. Days after the Boulder, Colorado attack that injured 12 people out demonstrating in support of the hostages Hamas keeps holding in Gaza. The wife and children of the suspect, Mohammed Solomon, face deportation.
The White House posting 6 one-way tickets for Mohammed's wife and 5 kids. Final boarding call coming soon. Now, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem calls Mohammed Solomon a terrorist and says he will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. We've learned Solomon's wife and children are in ICE custody and have had their visas revoked.
Fox's Matt Finn. There's a search in deep woods in Washington state where it's believed a father accused of murdering his 3 daughters may be hiding. The girls, aged 5, 8, and 9, were found dead Monday.
We suffer as a community. It has hit many of us hard. Going on 20 years, I don't think I've had a situation that has really almost prompted tears to come up.
Chelan County Sheriff Mike Morrison. The manhunts also continue for 3 escaped prisoners in Arkansas and Louisiana. 2 are convicted murderers. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 68 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The parents of a 10-year-old boy are suing Chicago Public Schools following the choking death of their son. Perry Williams has more.
Travis and Lakeisha Jones-Townsend say young Cody had an individual education plan due to a special need that required constant supervision. The couple says their child was not properly supervised when he choked on food last October.
No parent should have to send their kid to school and then not see them that next night. I won't want that for any parent.
The lawsuit also names the Chicago School Board and the City of Chicago as defendants.
McDonald's is bringing back the snack wrap next month. The popular menu item featuring chicken, lettuce, cheese, and sauce wrapped in a tortilla will once again be on the menu starting July 10th. The snack wrap was taken off the menu in 2016, and fans have been calling for its return ever since. In a social media post, the person behind the McDonald's account said snack wrap fans are responsible for its return. They said fans' comments and petitions and tweets created a movement so powerful that you finally won. Police are investigating after a DePaul University soccer player was found dead in his dorm room. 20-year-old Chase Stegall was discovered unresponsive while on the Lincoln Park campus. Cook County Medical Examiner's Office says that they have scheduled an autopsy to determine the cause of death. He was a sophomore and played 16 of the soccer team's 17 games. News is a service of Air Right Heating and Cooling, offering AM 560 listeners $56 off of any service, including inspections. Don't wait for a heat wave for that old air conditioner to break down. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
It's almost time for AM 560's annual golf outing, presented by Signature Bank. And once again, AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation as they support America's first responder and military heroes, including homeless veterans, and to help America never forget 9/11. It's all happening on Wednesday, June 18th at McCrae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. Enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf.
Hey, it's Matt, your Leaf Filter Trusted Pro.
Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/deal. That's leaffilter.com/deal.
At University of Maryland Global Campus, we give our students credit where credit is due. Credit for deciding in the middle of rush hour traffic to go back and get their bachelor's and a promotion. Credit for managing 3 kids, 2 dogs, and a full-time job to pursue an MBA. And credit for serving in the military by day so they can study cybersecurity at night. For over 75 years, we've been helping students receive the credit they deserve. With more than 135 degrees and certificates, students at UMGC can use prior learning or relevant experience to earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's, and graduate students can transfer up to 12 credits toward their master's. At UMGC, you'll find everything from online to hybrid courses and lifetime career services to scholarship opportunities, making your education journey flexible, fast, and affordable. Classes start June 11th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
From the Team Hawkburg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 14 minutes. Outbound, about 13 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 8 minutes. Outbound, about 12 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 13 minutes. Outbound, about 13 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 16 minutes. Outbound is about 15 minutes. And then the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Byrne Interchange, 12 minutes, 10 minutes outbound. Traffic is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. What if you could save on average 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back? With a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, it's possible. Check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Periods of rain, thunderstorm today. Could be some ponding on the roadways. Look out for that. High today is 60. Partly cloudy for tonight, low 53. Clouds and sun, pleasant. It'll be a warmer day tomorrow. The high tomorrow afternoon, 75. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering smart security systems to homes and businesses. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. America's greatest living playwright and Chicago's very own, and somehow University of Iowa's very own, too.
Okay. He's still celebrated in Iowa City.
He should be.
I know, because he's one of the best things that ever came out of there.
One of. I mean, maybe second only to Chuck Long from Wheaton.
Oh, yeah.
David Mamet is out with a new book, The Disenlightenment, so he's making some of the rounds. And I just got it, actually. I'm anxious to read it. I read and see everything David Mamet does. So he appeared on Jesse Waters' show.
What?
Unfortunately.
What do you call those shows on Fox?
He started, he was asked about this post that Nate Silver, the pollster / handicapper, political data and analyst, if you will, Nate Silver posted, although I've seen it written about elsewhere, I was honestly surprised by how strong the relationship is. Among voters who report poor mental health, liberals outnumber conservatives 45% to 19%. Almost half of liberals report poor mental health. 1 in 5 conservatives do. Among those who report excellent mental health, conservatives outnumber liberals 51 to 20. So Silver opines, so the young men that Democrats have trouble with aren't necessarily the ones who have been captured by the conservative manosphere or who are looking for a helping hand. Rather, it's those who report relatively high mental health and see Democrats as being too neurotic and perhaps constraining their opportunity to compete and reap the rewards of their work. Boy, what insight. Could have told you that, but it's always nice to have the data and have unexpected sources amplifying said data. Well, that was a jumping off point for Waters to ask Mamet about that. And here's Mamet's distillation about why that isn't a surprise to him.
I think it's the other way around. I think these people who are liberals have poor mental health because they're involved in denial. They spend their whole time involved in denial. It means mental energy that could be put in thought or could be put in even fantasy and daydreams goes into denying reality. So if you have to spend all your time saying this may not be politically correct, but, or well, there has to be, the truth always lies somewhere between. Perhaps if we'd send it to Mohammed Atta, instead of blowing up both buildings, why don't you just blow up one building that Jews are right down the line, everything in the Democrats' playbook is denial, which takes all of a person's mental energy. It's no different than a dysfunctional family. If you have a family and dad is a pedophile, the problem is not that dad is a pedophile, but the problem for everyone in the family is they have to deny that dad is a pedophile, because if they face it, the family as they know it is going to fall apart and they don't know what comes next. That's horrific. It's legitimate, but it's horrific. That's where the Democrats are now.
He's used that dad is a pedophile metaphor before, and it is tough, but it really brings the point home. You know, the denial of reality, because if you confront reality, then everything falls apart, whether it's family in the metaphor or whether it's your identity with the individual leftists. All the energy that goes into denying things that turn out to be true.
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us, too.
Which was a perfect segue to David Mamet's appearance on Bill Maher's podcast. The obsession that Bill Maher, I mean, they really got into it on a couple of issues. And again, I mean, Maher is so outgunned. Mamet was, I guess they're friendly, so perhaps more polite than he needed to be, but
swear a little bit.
Well, that's David Mamet. Maher's obsession with the Russian collusion hoax narrative, and he just will not let it go. And so it was just fun to see a revisiting of it all with David Mamet, providing the pressure.
We know that Russia would put things on the internet that weren't true just to get people fighting, that kind of stuff.
Like what?
They would say, the Pope, they would put up some meme about, the Pope is backing Trump. It wasn't true, but people believed it, and then they started fight over it.
Here's my question. When last we spoke several years ago, you were stuck on this issue. You're still stuck on it. How come?
Because it's not been resolved.
So wait, what is it that hasn't been resolved?
The asymmetry of American elections. The fact that if one party, the Republican Party, wins the election, the other party goes, okay, you win some, you lose some, and they go home. So Hillary Clinton went home. Kamala Harris went home. Yeah. You can't imagine Trump ever going home.
Excuse me. Now what you're doing is injecting metaphysics into what might be a matter of. So is the question is not what he did. The question is not even what he might do. What you've just said is one can't imagine what he would do. But on the other hand...
No, I don't have to imagine what he did in 2020, which was never concede the election. I'm not even...
Dude, he didn't have to concede the election. He lost. If somebody is beaten in a prize fight and the other guy gets the belt, the person who's beaten does not have to concede. It's not necessary. He's lost.
Well, it is necessary. The analogy falls down because that if a prize fighter loses, it doesn't inspire people to riot.
How did he inspire people to riot?
By not conceding the election.
Oh, come on. Oh, come on.
What?
Come on. So wait a second. He didn't say the words, I concede, and so that meant people rioted?
Yes. What do you think January 6th was about?
What do you think January 6th was?
It was about people who did not hear their leaders say, as every other leader in this country has said after an election, okay, I lost. We welcome the new guy. We had disagreements, but now we're all Americans. When Obama took over, George Bush stood next to him and he said, we want you to succeed because when you succeed, Trump didn't do any of that.
Okay. So what?
Well, so what? It inspires half the country to not accept the basic democratic principle that we have elections, and when you lose, you go away, and then you become the loyal opposition.
Well,
they don't see themselves as the loyal.
You like me have built a career out of nothing except talent and a little bit of luck and a lot of hard work, but you're full of shit. I don't understand when you say that he did not say the words I concede caused half the country, which you just said, to riot.
No, I didn't say half the country rioted. A lot of people rioted. And it was less than half the country because he got less than half the votes and still won. That's okay. That's our system. But a good deal of the country, approaching half, the people who are MAGA, the people who love him, at least a third of the country, will now in the future never accept any electoral results. And a democracy can't continue in that way. You have to have this situation we've always had where the one football coach walks across the field and shakes the hand with the coach who just beat him in the game.
Of course, the obvious response, too, that Mamet didn't get to was, is that what Hillary Clinton did in 2016?
She never even made a phone call conceding the race.
She went on the circuit for months and years after the case talking about the election being stolen. John, the Democrats wanting to contest the election results 2004, 2000, every time they lose. We've gone through this so many times to put a little bit of balance to the coverage of the 2020 election controversies. The idea that the football coach for the Democrat nominee or party always goes to the middle of the 50-yard line to shake hands when they lose is completely preposterous. And that's just talking about the last handful of national elections in this country. It's just hogwash. But I just love, basically, Mamet could have just stopped with, you're completely full of blank, because Bill Maher is completely full of blank. It was funny, too, because this was after Bill Maher was, had girded his loins for this fight. That apparently they hadn't sat down in a couple of years. And this is why Mamet said, you're still on this thing? Why are you still on it? The Russians, they put stuff online and it would get people arguing. Well, like what? Oh, the Pope endorsed. Well, what is that? Everybody puts stuff online that people argue about it because the Russians spent a few $1,000s doing it. That somehow tilted the balance and sort of existentially threatened the integrity of it. It's just all so overwrought. But it just shows you how committed they are to that denial of reality that imperils their mental health that Mamet talked about earlier. You're still talking about this? You're still trotting this out after everything that we know now, if you want to know it, if you want to acknowledge it, but you don't. But the story he started out with was about 2020. And this is, I think, what started getting more riled up because he has to protect the story that he's committed to about 2020, which you just heard.
I was on your show and you said, are you implying that that the election was stolen? And I was kind of iffy on it, right? Next morning, 8 o'clock, the phone rings. A woman on the phone says, Mr. Mamet, will you hold for the president? I said, wait a second, Biden is calling? It's Trump. It's during the Biden administration. And he says, David, it's Donald Trump. I say, Mr. President, thank you for calling. To what do I owe the honor? He said, I saw you on Bill Maher yesterday. You were great. He said, but you wussed out on the question of the stolen election. And then he talked to me for like 20 minutes about how the election was stolen.
But it wasn't.
Well, I think it was.
It was tested in court like 60 times. It was thrown out every time. Trump's own commission, appointed by his own commissioners to look at the election, the Cybersecurity Commission, it's called, or agency. There's two of them. One of them is within the Department of Homeland Security. They all said the same thing. It was the most fair, honest election we've ever had.
No, I'm not talking about the votes. I'm not talking about counting the votes. That the Hunter Biden laptop was suppressed, the COVID information was suppressed. Zuckerberg said himself that the White House pressured him not to bring forward the information on the laptop. Rasmussen said, had that come out, there would have been a 17-point spread.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to influence elections. It's a funny thing, too. I wish you would have made the point in that Russian collusion exchange. So let me understand something. On the one hand, KGB or whatever the GRU, the modern iteration of the KGB, posting agitprop on Facebook imperiled the or delegitimized the integrity of the 2016 election. So information flow matters. But the DC press corps colluding with the federal government to suppress information that was relevant to people's choice in 2020, that isn't delegitimizing the election. Information flow, I don't like, threatens our democracy. Information flow, I don't want because it tends to undermine the prospects of my preferred candidate. That doesn't threaten our democracy. Is that your position, Bill? That could have been fun. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. I actually like people. Some people may say, oh, this is so tiresome. We've been talking about this for 5 years now. Well, I don't think it's tiresome. Actually, I think it was sort of refreshing to have it revisited in the forms of Bill Maher on the left and David Mamet on the side of common sense, the post-partisan side of common sense, and exposing the hypocrisy of Bill Maher without even having to be explicit about it. Setting him up, really. And then after that, he said, put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers. Mamet and Maher also had this exchange about border security and the interventions of federal judges, which was telling as well. It's not something that's particularly unique. It's going on in a lot of quarters. But, these two guys attract a lot of attention, get other people talking. And so it's useful if the exchange is productive.
The question is, if you read the Constitution, which I do, it's pretty easy, about 20 pages, what is the Trump administration doing that's unconstitutional? The answer is nothing.
Well, they're not obeying judges' orders. That is unconstitutional.
What, you're talking about the one district judge who said, bring the guy back from El Salvador?
There have been many judges' orders about the immigration issue, yes, that they're just ignoring.
Well, no, I don't know that I think your information there is wrong. I think that what they're doing is, in some cases, they may be slow walking it, but I don't believe that there's any. Here's what they're doing: is that all these rogue district judges are issuing restraining orders against the president in his performance of his constitutionally mandated duty. It's his constitutional duty to take care of the border. It has nothing to do with the judiciary. If someone feels wronged, they have the opportunity to sue. But the court does not have, the district courts do not have under the Constitution.
Well, what's very clear in the Constitution, it's because it's in both the Fifth and the 14th Amendment, is that they could have said the word citizen both times, and they said the word person. A person has a right to a trial.
Yeah, they do have a trial. They do have a right to a trial.
They purposely didn't say citizen. That's why it's unconstitutional, illegal to take people off the streets without any hearing at all and send them to a foreign prison.
Well,
that is not in the Constitution.
No, but you're wrong as to the facts again, because here, let me explain it this way. Say that you have a fellow who is hates you, okay, and he is throwing stuff at your car and throwing stuff at you, blah blah blah, and he gets sent to prison, okay? He gets convicted, right, of harassment, or he gets convicted of assault, or whatever. Say, okay, he's in prison and he gets out. He's got a parole. But one aspect of the parole is he has a restraining order. He cannot come within 1,000 feet of you or your house or your place of business. If he comes within 1,000 feet of you, your house, your place of business, his parole is violated. It's exactly the same situation as the people who have been convicted of crimes and who have been deported and have then re-entered the United States. They have the right to due process to find out whether or not that's the same guy. But prior to that, their crime and their sentence has been adjudicated.
Mm-hmm. Mamet, good there. Well, one is Trump is not flouting federal judges' opinions, injunctions. They are litigating. They're litigating. It's just the ongoing mischaracterization and denial of reality. Trump didn't accept the 2020 election. Well, he didn't say I concede, but he walked away. Just like Hillary Clinton didn't concede, but she walked away.
Exact same thing.
These matters with respect to immigration policy and a range of other issues are being litigated. To the extent we have a constitutional crisis, it is not in the direction the left is arguing. It's in the direction that conservatives are arguing. The abrogation of responsibility for the Supreme Court to provide guidance to federal judges on the power to affect national injunctions. Congress is abrogating its responsibilities to advance national security-oriented legislative measures, and perhaps consistent with Trump's executive order, so one complements the other. Yeah, it wasn't as good a conversation as it could have been because, Bill Maher is so much more limited than David Mamet, but it's a good example of what you're dealing with on the left, and Bill Maher is going to be more informed than most of the people in your circles of influence, but he's still repeating their same drivel. He just has sort of a more cohesive, unified version of it that needs to be pierced the way that Mamet was piercing him on those topics. They are still important, even though it feels like we are spinning our wheels. You can't let the unreality of the left's position on seminal moments in American history, the 2020 election, the illicit investigations and impeachments, the disinformation campaigns of the D.C. press corps when it came to those topics, as well as all things COVID related, through every channel. I mean, just as a quick aside, since PBS, NPR on the chopping block, but particularly PBS in this case, I mean, do you remember the all-out propaganda war that we were forced to finance by underwriting institutions like PBS and programs like Sesame Street, before it was spun off and sold off, but just the concept of it. The bringing in Sanjay Gupta,
during COVID,
CNN flack, to talk about mask wearing for toddlers.
A CNN and Sesame Street town hall for children and families.
Elmo has a question for Dr.
Sanjay.
Sure.
Elmo's seen lots of people wearing masks outside, but it's not Halloween.
You know, just like doctors wear masks in hospitals when they take care of people, you're going to see people now wearing masks outside as well. And the reason they're wearing masks like this is to protect people in public from their germs and things like that. They don't want to spread your germs, and these masks can help with that.
Oh, so the masks help us.
Yes, the masks are a way to prevent you from spreading germs, even as you just breathe. Well, Elmo, how old are you?
Oh, Elmo's 3.5.
Well, then, yes, Elmo, you should wear a mask. Children under 2 years old do not need to wear a mask, but children older than 2 years old should wear a mask when they're out in public and they're around people.
Where's the science behind that? That's how they start brainwashing you. And then they did a BLM one, too, where, I mean, they're just grooming our kids. That's all Sesame Street was doing.
Which is why this all needs to be revisited. And it needs to, need to continue to push back against the baked-in storytelling, fairy tale telling of people like Bill Maher. And by the way, David Mamet is doing it in the Disenlightenment review, his new book. Some of the reviews I've read, like I said, I just got it, so I haven't got into it, but some of these riffs are really good. For example, since you mentioned BLM.
Yeah.
There was a time in which people of color in the West were considered subhuman, and homosexuals were hounded by a society made up of the same percentage of gays as ours today. We abhor such attitudes today, and rightly so. But is it not inevitable that a future time must look back on our enormities equally stunned? He has in mind, does Mamet, the racial excesses of Black Lives Matter and their self-flagellating white enablers. The call for reparations is thuggery. It is the suggestion that those in power be free to strong-arm wealth and redistribute it according to the paper bag test. On Greta Thunberg, he calls her a professional truant who announced that she had the power to change the world by staying home from school. Equally well-to-do adolescent girls in the West convince each other that they've been assigned the wrong sex and that society must therefore agree to mutilate them. I mean, those are the sorts of things that he's taking up, a lot of the salient topics of the day and of the recent past that need to continue to be discussed. By the way, I got this text. Are we sure that David Mamet went to Iowa?
He went to grad school there, I thought. Not underclass. He wasn't an underclassman. Let me Google him, and I will get back to you.
This has become apocryphal. He actually said my alma mater is the Chicago Public Library, but only because
good for him.
But he's talking about the reading room.
Yeah.
But he's a Francis Parker grad.
Yes.
You know, he's a reformed leftist.
Right. He's a former socialist.
He went to Goddard College for his BA in Vermont. Did he do the Iowa writing program?
That's what he was part of, yes.
Are you sure? Or are you just
positive.
making that up?
No,
is this Iowa agitprop? Is this Bill Maher?
And he got a birdie on the
tale?
first hole. No, he belonged to that. He's very well known. Let's see.
Yeah.
All right.
I think Iowa is trying to shoehorn a David Mamet into their notable alumni. Coming up at 6:36, we'll turn our attention to some of the matters we've been discussing that Mamet and Maher were discussing, like border security. James Gagliano, former FBI, joins us to talk about that, as well as the story we didn't get to yesterday, but that Charles Grassley, senator from Iowa, in part is responsible for uncovering that the Mueller investigation wasn't just a hoax, it was a cover-up.
And we need to discuss agro-terrorism. Yes, it's a thing, and 2 Chinese nationals have been charged. But now let's head back into that newsroom. Here is Nikki Whaley.
Good morning. It's 68 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560. The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The Israeli military says aid distribution centers in Gaza are being shut down as roads leading to sites have become combat zones.
The Israel Defense Forces says people will be prohibited from entering the centers or traveling on roads leading to them. Hamas officials say over 24 Palestinians were killed near an aid center by the Israeli military early Tuesday. U.S.-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation says it hopes to resume distributing aid again on Thursday. I'm Michael Kastner.
The Nintendo Switch hits shelves this week, theoretically. All major retailers are sold out through pre-orders, but Best Buy, GameStop, and Target have confirmed they'll have restocked by launch day tomorrow. The console is priced at $449 or $499, bundled with Mario Kart World. With summer traveling taking off, the CDC urges Americans to get their measles vaccines before flying overseas. Health officials say most measles cases are tied to international travel and the risk of bringing it back is high. The CDC points to Yemen, India, and Pakistan as current hotspots. News is a service of AlmostFreeT.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeT.com, making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
560's annual golf outing, presented by Signature Bank. And once again, AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation as they support America's first responder and military heroes, including homeless veterans, and to help America never forget 9/11. It's all happening on Wednesday, June 18th at McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. Enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf.
As you know, our friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He didn't stop by simply creating the best pillow. Mike created the best bed sheets ever. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me, which is crucial for my busy schedule. Mike is offering the best deal on his Giza Dreams bed sheets. Any size and any color, just $49.98. That's right, you can even get queens, kings, split kings, and cow kings. Any size and any color, just $49.98. Order now because when they're gone, they're gone. Also, for a limited time, when your order is over $100, you'll receive $100 in free digital gifts. Call 800-489-0201. Use promo code LIBERTY or go to mypillow.com. Make sure you use the promo code LIBERTY for the amazing offer of $49.98 on the Giza Dreams sheets, any size and any color. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
Networks, streaming services, retail chains, and tech giants are all adding plus to their names. But where did the concept originate? We may be biased, but we think these big wigs found their inspiration for plus at Hasselist Mattress. Hasselist showrooms are employee-free. Give your mattress a try with no pushy sales guy. Plus, our 35 beds from the top 5 brands start at $393. Plus, unbeatable prices on Tempur-Pedic. Plus, free next-day delivery and setup. Plus, free haul away and disposal of your old mattress. Plus, 60-month interest-free financing on select Tempur-Pedic with approved credit. Plus, a $300 MasterCard gift card with your Tempur-Pedic mattress. Plus, a ruggedly handsome spokesman with a smooth radio voice. Get all this, plus a whole lot more when you shop at Hasselist Mattress. Or maybe we should change our name to Hasselist Plus. Nah. Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you or shop online at Hasselist.com.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in focus and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. If you're a guy facing divorce, remember, Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
2815 Old Jacksonville, Springfield. CordellCordell.com.
Hey, it's Mike Rowe, and if you want to do business with a company that actually stands for something, switch to Pure Talk. I did. Sure, I appreciate being on America's most dependable 5G network with unlimited talk and text for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is Pure Talk's commitment to our military and to our skilled workforce. That matters to me. Save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com or at your local CVS.
from the Team Hawkberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 16 minutes, 14 minutes outbound. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Vernon Interchange, 17 minutes, outbound about 25 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 22 minutes, outbound about 18 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 37 minutes, outbound about 17 minutes. On the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Burn Interchange, about 19 minutes. This report is sponsored by Dairy Queen. Hurry into DQ for their sauced and tossed chicken strip baskets. With flavor from top, bottom, and everywhere in between. Try them today in Honey Barbecue or New Buffalo. Only at DQ. Happy tastes good. Only at participating Dairy Queen locations. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Clouds and periods of rain. Thunderstorm for today. Could be some ponding on the roads. Watch out for that as if you're driving today. Highs near 60. Partly cloudy for tonight, low 53. Clouds and sun. Nice day tomorrow. The high at 75. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Tom Homan was making the rounds on the talk shows yesterday, some of them, in response in part to that anti-Semitic terrorist attack in Boulder, Colorado. And more generally, the threat that foreign nationals on American soil who have bad intentions pose as ICE is working to remove people who are public safety threats just as quickly as they can with the resources they have. And now add to the caseload. It's not specific to ICE, but it needs to be a collaborative law enforcement effort. Federal agents arresting a University of Michigan scholar from China on charges she tried to smuggle a biological pathogen into the United States, characterized as a potential agricultural terrorism weapon that could be used for targeting food crops. Both her and her boyfriend were arrested and charged in an FBI counterintelligence case.
Right. So as the crops grow, they're poisons with mycotoxins, and that can not only destroy the crops like wheat, rice, soy, corn, but also it can sicken animals and humans with almost impossible to trace the illnesses.
So the issue is, one, these individuals in our institutions of alleged higher education. And number two, other issues that have been raised before, like Chinese communist-connected Chinese nationalists who are buying up farmland or buying up land near military bases. You've had some action on the topic at state level action in places like Florida under Governor Ron DeSantis, but perhaps this needs to be revisited nationally. Tom Homan, on the prospect of domestic terrorist attacks.
It's coming. Why did 2 million illegal aliens pay more to get away? They could have paid half of what they paid, cross the border, turn yourself into a border patrol agent, get released that same day, get a free airline ticket to the city of their choice, get a free hotel room, get 3 meals a day, plus free medical care and work authorization. 2 million people paid more to get away. They didn't want to be vetted. They didn't want to be fingerprinted. Why? This scares the hell out of me. I've been doing this for 40 years. It should have scared the hell out of every American what the Biden administration did. This 2 million known gotaways scares the hell out of me. So I'm convinced something's coming unless we can find him.
Well, as for that flamethrower jihadist, he has 5 children, which I'm sure they used our resources, sent to public school, healthcare, entitlement programs. And he hates America, hates us, hates Jewish Americans. and he posed as a gardener and all that, but his kids, in order to perform the attack, but his kids and his wife are on a list to be expedited, to be deported as soon as possible.
James Gagliano is a retired FBI supervisory special agent and a doctoral candidate in Homeland Security at St. John's. He also served as mayor of Village of Cornwall-on-Hudson in New York. Jim, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Well, Dan and Amy, it's good to talk to you again. I wish it was under different circumstances, but here we go again.
Yeah, we have a lot to discuss.
Well, so the 2 million gotaways, that scares the hell out of Tom Homan. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I served for the FBI down in Mexico City as a legal attaché in 2013 and 2014. And again, it's not the humble family that's trying to cross the border, our southern border, trying to make a better life. It was the concerns that Iran, Russia, North Korea, and China, bad state actors, would put people in that mix and get them across the border. Tom Homan is absolutely right. What happened the last 4 years with Porus does not even tell the tale of the 2,000-mile stretch between us and Mexico. And again, we're not worried about the humble landscaper that's trying to come across and make some money to help his family out. It's these bad state actors. And yeah, I don't think his words, Dan, were hyperbolic. I think he's right on point.
Well, on the matter of these two Chinese nationals in Michigan,
University of Michigan.
So one is a citizen of China who received a doctorate degree in plant pathogens. Investigators say they've discovered information describing her membership in and loyalty to the Chinese Communist Party. Prosecutors said she received money from a Chinese foundation, largely funded by the Chinese Communist Party, to conduct postdoctoral work, including research on this fungus that can cause disease and death. So the point here is to say, there's been a hue and cry in response to Marco Rubio moving in the direction of revoking the student visas of Chinese nationals at places like Harvard. But does there need to be more scrutiny about who's coming into this country as either an academic or as a student? It seems to me that the University of Michigan scholar, the woman, at minimum, should have been flagged before she ever got here and began her illicit activity.
Yeah, well said. And I'll put my academic hat on just for a second as a professor at St. John's University and a doctoral candidate. Here's the issue. We are becoming the architects of our own demise. I mean, look at Harvard. 1/3 of their student body are international students. Now, we all can argue and believe that this adds the diversity and the cultural tapestry that, the academic experience is, and we need to make sure that we diversify and we see other sides of things. It's the ideological bent, 90 to 95% on college campuses in one direction, and we know which direction that is unhealthy. And I said that a second ago. We're becoming the architect of our own demise. You think the Communist Party in China cares about Western values? No. Do you think Putin and Russia care about Western values and Western democracy? No. You think Iran and North Korea do? No. They want to show that this fragile experiment, this, little over 2.5 centuries of the American experience is a fraud, and we are helping perpetuate that by bringing these folks in, allowing them to go to school on our campuses and foment and incite riots. We saw it the last couple of months. Look what happened when the Pennsylvania governor was almost burned and immolated in his own home. Mm-hmm. We saw it happen a couple of weeks ago in D.C., where 2 young members of the Israeli embassy staff in D.C. were shot and murdered in cold blood. And we saw it in Boulder, Colorado a couple of days ago, where an Egyptian national who is here less than 3 years, so came in under the Biden administration, brings his family over, applies for asylum, and then decides he's going to attack and hurt and kill Jewish people in Colorado. It's insanity.
And he'd been planning the attack for a year, and he waited until his youngest daughter graduated from high school. So he knew darn well what he was doing, and, he's going to have to serve his time and then get deported, or can we just get rid of him? when we get rid of his family.
No, get rid of him. He committed a crime on American soil. He served your time here. So we make sure what happens to him. How can we trust what would happen in Egypt? Are you kidding?
Yeah, he's going to be lucky to serve time here because in Egypt, you know the way that they dispense quote-unquote justice over there. So he's going to be lucky. Now, his family does need to go back because, again, they're here on a visa, and we are becoming the architects of our own demise where we're importing people that don't believe in what we're doing and yet at the same time apply for asylum here because of oppression and persecution in the country that they're fleeing. Guys, you cannot make it up. The jokes just write themselves.
You know, on the FBI, this report that was released by Chuck Grassley, or declassified EC, electronic communication, dating from September of 2019, which Grassley maintains proves that Fusion GPS contractor Nellie Orr, who was the wife of number 3 at DOJ, and break out your Russian collusion scorecards. Bruce Orr was number 3 at Department of Justice under Merrick Garland in the previous regime. That Nellie Orr lied to Congress about contributions to Crossfire Hurricane. So we have a question about why Nellie Orr was never prosecuted for perjury. But even more important, the electronic communication explained that the FBI's Sentinel case management system allows investigative material to be coded prohibited access, quote unquote, prohibited access, which renders the files not merely inaccessible to other agents, but invisible to them. Additionally, Mueller's team designated the Trump-Russia collusion investigations prohibited access in this case management system, meaning any agents running a keyword search in Sentinel would wrongly believe there were no responsive documents. And this raises all sorts of questions about how compliant the FBI was with turning over documents that many FBI agents didn't even know existed. Many members of Congress with oversight responsibilities didn't even know existed. Many of those targeted by Mueller didn't even know existed, and their legal representation. I mean, you know, this is like maybe come across as legalese to some people, but this is like serious stuff here. That and we're just scratching the surface now that we know that this prohibited access demarcation was attached to the Mueller investigation, and all of these questions that I just mentioned, and Margot Cleveland goes through in a very good piece in the Federalist, we don't have answers to at present.
Yeah, and I would say this, you know, I spent 25 years in the FBI. I never, ever, ever, ever heard the term prohibited access. Now, having said that, I entered in 1991. We were still using, you know, typewriters to write up our reports, and we didn't have the Sentinel system, which is a computer system. Hell, we didn't really have computers back then. However, the last 10 years while I was on the job, we did have the Sentinel system. And I don't want to get too inside baseball here, but for your listeners, the Sentinel system is basically a case management system. It allows you to type in keywords and see if somebody that you're looking at or some organization you're looking at is the subject of another case, not just in the FBI, but also outside the FBI. So was this done for nefarious purposes? I cannot say that because, again, I'm unfamiliar with prohibitive access. There are folks that have recently left the FBI that said that that did not exist or they knew nothing about it. And it does raise some alarms there. I mean, you know, you talk about Fusion GPS and you talk about, you know, the whole Russian collusion case and how the underpinnings of that case were so shoddy and so faulty and built on a foundation of sand that some reasonable person, remember, the FBI follows the evidence bereft of fear or favor, or so we thought, until people in the FBI decided they were smarter than everyone else. They were going to put their fingers on the scale on the 7th floor at FBI headquarters, which is where all the bosses sit, the Lisa Pages, you know, the Peter Strzok's, the James Comey's, the Andrew McCabe's, and make these decisions that they found a politician to be such an existential threat that they were not going to perform their duties, but do everything they could to take that politician down. I see Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. Again, I remain agnostic. I want to see how they're doing. They've only been in place for 100 days, guys. But I'll say this, it is refreshing to see them the transparency they're showing, the allowance of these documents and these decisions to see the light of day, I think that's a good sign for the FBI and the American Republic.
Well, I agree, but I mean, you also have to, and we'll stick on this, and I assume Patel and Bongino will too, to provide answers now that these questions have been raised. But I mean, just to put not too fine a point on it, at the same time, there's all of this moral indignation over whatever the left thinks Brago Garcia is entitled to in terms of due process, a established MS-13 gangbanger. You had American citizens working in the government, working for a presidential campaign, who potentially were not afforded their due process rights when the Mueller team, FBI, and DOJ came hunting for them, because we don't know if, for example, there was exculpatory evidence that was withheld because of this prohibited access seal that was on it that law enforcement and defense attorneys and members of Congress were unaware of.
Yeah, it's the classic show me the man and I'll show you the crime. And that's not the way it's meant to work. And look, the biggest problem with Crossfire Hurricane, and trust me, it was a case riddled with problems, was the fact that a DOJ attorney lied on an email and stated that there was no indication that Carter Page had ever cooperated or ever been a source for the CIA, the FBI, or the U.S. government. That allowed the FISA to continue on unabated. And basically, yes, that is spying on a U.S. citizen. Are there times where that's necessary? Absolutely. U.S. citizens do bad things. However, the rules are different. When you're an international agent or a member of a foreign terrorist organization, there are things that we can do that we cannot do to U.S. citizens, and we especially cannot do to a presidential candidate. But that's obviously what happened. And I hope the lessons learned. I hope we pull off the Band-Aid as much as it's going to hurt. Pull off the Band-Aid, expose it, move on, put guardrails in place so that this never, ever, ever happens again.
James Gagliano, retired FBI supervisory special agent and doctoral candidate in Homeland Security at St. John's. Also, he served as mayor of the village of Cornwall-on-Hudson in New York. Jim, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys. Take care, Dan and Amy. Always good to talk to you.
Yep, our pleasure. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you planning to remodel your kitchen, bathroom, basement, or whole home? Explore why homeowners call Forever Remodeling the remodeling machine. With over 2,000 completed projects, our expert designers, project managers, and installers work together like clockwork, delivering stunning results on time and on budget. From creative design to detailed installation, we build beautiful, functional spaces without the stress. Call Forever Remodeling today at 847-809-3355 or visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com to schedule your free in-home design consultation.
That shot was money, Lisa. Hey, speaking of, did you ever figure out what to do with your parents' old coin collection?
Not yet. I need a reputable dealer to appraise them. I have no clue what they're worth.
I just finished working on my dad's estate collections. I took it all to Fox Valley Coins. Their customer service was the best. Plus, they're super honest and reputable, but most importantly, experienced. They'll give you the best prices.
Really? They handle estate collections?
Absolutely. Buying, selling, appraising, they do it all. It was quick and simple, and we maintained our privacy. Fox Valley Coins made the whole process easy.
That's exactly what I need. Are they local?
Right in Naperville. They have an easy website to remember. FoxValleyCoins.com.
Perfect. Now let's see if you can return this shot.
Whether buying or selling or just want valuation, Fox Valley Coins is your trusted gold and silver dealer. Visit Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. FoxValleyCoins.com. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
Mike Gallagher reminding you that 80 million listeners depend on AM radio to always be on, delivering news, talk, sports, traffic, and weather reports you can trust. trust. AM radio also delivers vital emergency information when you need it most. Text AM to 39179 and tell Congress to pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act to keep AM radio in cars. Text AM to 39179. Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Sports and Politics, our latest installment at 7:07. Should a high school track and field star lose her state championship over unsportsmanlike conduct post-race? 7:07.
Today it's going to be cloudy, rain off and on, a possible thunderstorm, a high of 66 degrees. Then tomorrow, some sunshine and a high of 75. It's now 7 a.m. WIND Chicago.
It's not just the suspect under scrutiny in Boulder, Colorado. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. There is also now a focus on the family of Mohammed Solomon. Days after the terror attack injured 12 people demonstrating in support of hostages Hamas is still holding in Gaza. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says
Mohammed's despicable actions will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. But we're also investigating to what extent his family knew about this horrific attack.
His wife and 5 children, one who just graduated high school, now in immigration custody.
Mohammed Solomon's family facing deportation. As Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says, they are being processed under expedited removal. The State Department also revoking the visas of the illegal immigrant and his family.
That's Fox's Todd Pyro. There's a manhunt in Washington state for Travis Decker, wanted in the murder of his 3 daughters.
Decker's 2017 white GMC Sierra pickup was actually found along with the bodies of his 3 little girls.
Fox's Alejandro Guzman with Fox 13 TV in Leavenworth, Washington, says Decker's in the National Guard after transferring from the Army.
I actually spoke with his neighbor while they were stationed in Italy back in 2016 to 2018, and he says that his mental health was already a wreck.
Manhunts also continue in Arkansas and Louisiana for 3 escaped prisoners. Imported steel and aluminum will cost a lot more starting today. U.S. tariffs have been doubled to 50%. And there's also a deadline today for countries that want to make trade deals to give their best offers. The Senate keeps working on the massive budget bill House Republicans already approved. But Elon Musk, who led the Doge movement to cut government spending, has come out against the bill, posting on X, it's a disgusting abomination. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says,
the president already knows where Elon Musk stood on this bill. It doesn't change the president's opinion. This is one big, beautiful bill, and he's sticking to it.
Some Senate Republicans agree with Musk, demanding more spending cuts, saying the bill would spike the U.S. debt. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 67 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Mayor Brandon Johnson's calling on state lawmakers to tax the ultra-rich to help fill a $771 million budget gap for Chicago area transit agencies.
We do have to have substantive conversations around revenue streams that challenges the rich in this state to step up in a way that does not continue to place the burden on working people.
The State General Assembly adjourned this past weekend without passing a mass transit funding bill. Lawmakers have been discussing ways to boost revenue for public transit, including new tolls on suburban drivers, a ride-share tax, and fees for charging electric vehicles. They could go back to Springfield later this year to pass transit legislation. Johnson says he's confident that a deal can get done. The owner of Chicago Fire FC is planning to pay for the building of a new soccer stadium in the South Loop. He's agreed to pay $650 million of his own money to pay for the 22,000-seat soccer-only venue on the vacant parcel known as the 78. The billionaire founder and chairperson of Morningstar says that Chicago Fire FC is a world-class club that deserves a world-class home. The Fire will need the city council to sign off on the new stadium project. The team hopes to have the new stadium completed in time to host matches for the 2028 MLS regular season. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com, making smiles great again. A check of the road's coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Mike Gallagher explains the battle on Capitol Hill.
The rift is between spending hawks who want to cut more from the deficit and moderates who want expanded tax deductions for Americans. Some of the Republicans are saying it's not enough. Some of the Republicans are saying it's too much. If we don't get it, we're handing a giant victory to the Democrats.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Charlie Kirk at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/deal. That's leaffilter.com/deal.
If you're living with pain, see how Relief Factor can help.
I'm an artist and I'm in my studio. I listen to the radio all day and I'm hearing the ads about Relief Factor. And I've got pain in my neck and it's getting worse. And I'm thinking, well, I'm going to go ahead and order this. 2 weeks later, I've got much better range of motion. If you're experiencing pain at a certain point in life, I would get Relief Factor.
Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor. Go to ReliefFactor.com and get your 3-week quick start today. Only $19.95.
At Straight Talk, we are all about no-brainers. Calling Grandma for her recipe, no-brainer. Streaming one more episode at 2 a.m., big no-brainer. Getting real unlimited data where you buy bananas, the ultimate no-brainer. Switch now and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G Power 5G 2025 with select plans. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart and straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 7/20/25. Taxes and fees apply. Requires in-store activation of single line gold unlimited plan or higher. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com/terms. Copyright 2025 Verizon.
Are you okay, Ben? I'm scared, Arvid. Why? Nicole can read my mind. What?
Hold on. Is this about the Ashton recliner again?
See? I was just thinking about the Ashton recliner at Penny Mustard.
Yes, we were just talking about its optionizable qualities.
I said I'd like the Ashton recliner in leather, and she said,
done.
I suggested a different leg color, and she said,
done.
Ben.
And then he asked if I could add bedazzled gold nail-head adornments to make it look like a throne.
And she said, great minds think alike.
Look, I don't think Nicole can really read your mind.
Well, not anymore. That's why I'm wearing this tinfoil hat.
Why does it smell like fish?
Because I wrapped my lunch in it.
The Ashton recliner, made in the USA, with locally sourced materials and designed to fit all body types, starting at $28.70 at Penny Mustard.
7 locations throughout Chicagoland.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 22 minutes. Outbound, 16 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 35 minutes. Outbound, 45 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 42 minutes. On the outbound side, 28 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 35 minutes. Outbound is about 22 minutes. Traffic is a service of Anthony DeGrotto, your Chicagoland State Farm agent. His team will work to provide the best service you expect at the price you want. Like a good neighbor, Anthony DeGrotto State Farm is there. DeGrottoSF.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now, checking your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Periods of rain, thunderstorm today. Could be some ponding on the roadways. Look out for that. High today is 60. Partly cloudy for tonight, low 53. Clouds and sun, pleasant. It'll be a warmer day tomorrow. The high tomorrow afternoon, 75. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering smart security systems to homes and businesses. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Sports and politics and sports and politics and sports and politics and intersection. Arrogance and ignorance. Arrogance, ignorance, and arrogance and ignorance. Intersection.
Dan and Amy, this installment of Sports and Politics, I don't think I've ever seen this before. Maybe people know of something similar that occurred. I saw the story that a California track athlete was stripped of her state title, and I thought, oh my gosh, are they actually not allowing boys to win girls' state titles anymore? But that's not it.
No.
Clara Adams is a sophomore, and in the California State Track and Field contest, she won the 400 meter. But her gold medal, her first place finish, was taken away from her because of how she celebrated after the fact. Here's the story.
I worked so hard for that title.
The greatest moment of 16-year-old Clara Adams' young career taken away from her because of a celebration. After winning the 400-meter event at the CIF State Championships with a time of 53.24 seconds, her dream of winning a state title went up in flames after celebrating using a fire extinguisher.
When she blew the fire extinguisher, the opponents were gone. That was our moment of celebration, and the CIF officials made that about them. The crowd went crazy. They loved it.
It's our father.
CIF booth went crazy. They loved it. But those few guys in those jackets, they took offense to it, didn't like it, and they made a decision based on emotions.
The North Salinas High sophomore grabbed a fire extinguisher from her father and coach and extinguished off her spikes. The CIF deemed her celebration unsportsmanlike, stripping her of her title. It's a celebration made famous by American sprint icon Maurice Green, who enjoyed her paying homage to him and thinks she should get her state title back.
When I heard, because it happened and then people just started calling me, oh, this girl who just won the 400 redid your celebration. And I was like, huh, what? If it was away from everyone and not really interfering with anybody, I would say reinstate her.
One clear infraction was Clara's father hopping the railing onto the track after the race, but says he only did that because of how CIF officials were treating his daughter.
There's a CIF rule saying you can't come over the wall, you can't be on the infield, which is a rule respected. But at this point, I explained before about being a coach and a father wearing the different hats. I saw an official grab my daughter by the arm. They were yelling in her face. When he grabbed her by the arm, I went over the wall at that point. I'm father now. I'm not coach anymore. I'm over the wall.
Now, the true fastest 400-meter runner in the state is back home without a medal. And even if the CIF is to reinstate her as the champion, she never got that moment of being crowned a champion.
Even if everything goes in my favor, in regards to getting my title back, I'll still never get that moment back, standing on the podium as a sophomore. I'll never get that back because they took it from me.
Clara was also disqualified from competing in the 200-meter race because of that celebration. And we did some research, analyzed 20 years of state championships, found 0 other times where someone was disqualified and stripped of a title for unsportsmanlike conduct. We reached out to the CIF, haven't heard anything back. We also put up a poll on our Instagram, Dan, asking our viewers if they believe.
Yeah, I don't care what California viewers think. I care what our listeners think. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Have you ever heard of something like that?
No. Never. I am curious, though, what the Californians think of it because it's their own state and their own policies that are put in place. But that is Sickening.
It's it's
considering what's going on, and then they focus on that.
It's tough to be a female athlete at the high school level in California. If you're not competing with men, you're not even allowed to enjoy your victory without having your title stripped because they're so dogmatic about sportsmanlike behavior. I mean,
she has a right to free speech. She has a right to freedom of expression.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you can have. I mean, just like there are penalties for unsportsmanlike conduct in football for garish celebrations, and there should be. Act like you've been there before, Walter Payton style. But if you see the video of what she did, what her dad says is correct. It was after the race is over. She, he's the one who gave her the little fire extinguisher. She goes into the infield. She's not on the track, into the infield, and she does the little celebration. And it would have been odd. But that context they provided was important, that this was something that Maurice Green, don't call him Mo, because that invokes Alex Rocco and Godfather. Maurice Green did, and it's kind of fun, actually. I mean, it's like Icky Shuffle level.
Right,
it's like
got me
creative.
some cold cuts. Number 45.
What?
You know that commercial with Icky when he's doing the shuffle with the cold cuts commercial?
Yeah.
And
Okay. Yeah. But I mean, I'm just thinking of his end zone dance
I know,
and stuff.
but
So that's
it was so well known that it became a commercial.
Yeah, right.
For cold cuts.
But yeah, I've never heard of something like that, and if it was over the top.
I'm not offended by watching this. I mean, I'm not.
Even if it was over the top, and in terms of Dad coming out of the stands, he's right. He didn't come out of the stands until like these guys in the infield were starting to talk sternly to her and then like moving her away from where she did her little celebration. But even if it was like,
it was just a spray. I mean, it wasn't.
Even if it was like a completely over the top, indefensible celebration, you lose your state title over it. You're not allowed to compete in the 200 over it. I mean, I'm all for being sportsmanlike, gentlemanly and gentlewomanly, but I've never seen anything like this. And for it to be in California where everything else goes is just so ironic to me.
And she's never going to get that moment back. That's the problem. That's why it hurts so much.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. I mean, again, I'm all for sportsmanship, but has anybody ever heard or seen anything like this? This is wild to me. I mean, you're in coaching girls sports.
I know, and I've had incidents where people have misbehaved in games and then they get suspended the next game, and it might be a championship game, but it's obvious, what they did. But in this case, she was just celebrating. It was cheeky. It was fun. It was, let them have fun. Whatever happened to that in life?
It was kind of fun. I thought it was
great. I thought it was
cool.
clever.
And it was even more cool when I learned that from that report that it was, something where she's emulating Maurice Green and what he did, which was also sort of fun at the top levels of the sport.
Right, because after he finished his race, he took off his shoes and then sprayed it with a fire extinguisher. Like, I'm so hot. My feet are on fire.
Yeah.
I ran so fast. I mean, it's a metaphor for, like, hey, congratulations. So It's not like she took out anything dangerous. She wasn't pointing anything at anybody's face. She just went psh, psh, spray, and that was it.
Mark in Northwest Indiana.
Hey, Dan, I just want to bring this maybe to golf, because it does kind of annoy me at the end of some of these major golf events, golf tournaments, where they throw their putter in the air and they drop it to the ground. I don't mind about the emotion, but the throwing the putter in the air, I think that's unsportsmanlike, and want to know your thoughts.
They should be
stripped of their title, Dan.
Rory McIlroy
kicked out of the tournament.
Take that green jacket off, McIlroy. You didn't win no Masters.
Well, just give her.
I don't. Why is throwing your putter up in the air unsportsmanlike? Because it leaves a mark in the green. I mean, they got
too.
They got a ground
but
screw
you
for
could
that.
also hurt somebody.
Oh,
but if it saves one life, Dan.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
First of all, as someone who has been known to place a club from time to time after a poor effort,
to place a club where?
I don't
Dan,
find that
up in the air.
I don't find that terribly unsportsmanlike. Certainly not title stripping.
My favorite is when I play with you unruly men who get so upset at your shot that you take the club, whether it's a driver or an iron, and slam it to the ground, and then the head of the club pops off. I laugh. That has happened twice in my life. Yeah, you keep doing that, dummy. Okay.
Yeah, I've had some clubs that broke themselves under my stewardship.
Oh.
And I don't.
How did that
and whatever,
happen, Dan?
I'll just replace them. I don't care.
Oh. Okay. But how did you finish the round? That's why I was, because the one guy I was with, he broke the club head off of his driver. So we have a par 5.
Yeah. Well,
495 yards up ahead.
I'll
so
hit
what
a
are you going to
3-wood.
use?
I'll hit a 3-wood then. I'll hit a 3-wood
And
twice.
I'll be just fine.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Because that's
how you roll.
Because that driver had it coming. If you don't perform their standards,
then you're out. Like, you kick them out of the club.
Did I ever tell the Bobby Knight story that I've heard about?
Oh no, do tell.
On golf. Well, first of all,
Rick Barry story.
Oh well, Bobby. So,
Knight. So
first of all, if you haven't seen the series, it was called like Better Golf with Bobby Knight that he did at when he was at Indiana with the Indiana women's golf coach. Go on YouTube and watch it. It's hysterical.
Really?
Like playing Better Golf with Bobby Knight or something. But anyway, a friend of mine, who was friends with Bobby Knight, Indiana University trustee, all that, mainly fished with Bobby Knight, but played golf with him a few times. And they're playing golf one time, and Bobby Knight always wanted to be a good golfer, but he never was.
Yeah, don't we all want to be good golfers?
Yes.
Yes.
Some of us lie about it. Other people just accept that they're not good golfers. I didn't say you.
Why you're giving me the stink eye?
I just said
though.
some. I didn't say you. 41. So anyway, so they're playing, and Bobby's not playing well. And on the 9th hole, he hits his ball in the creek, and he goes down to the creek, and he takes one club after another out of his bag. He breaks them one individually over his knee. He throws them in the creek. Then he throws his bag in the creek. And then my friend says to Bobby Knight, well, Coach, I guess we're only playing 9 today. And Bobby Knight says, what, they don't sell clubs in the pro shop? He goes in and buys a new set, and then they play the back 9. And there's nothing unsportsmanlike about that, in my view.
Except that he's polluting the water. Yes.
Rich in Indian Head Park.
Wow.
Hey, good morning, gang. Good morning, Amy.
Hey, Rich.
If that person was a transgender, would they have taken the medal away from that person? Just a question.
Yeah,
well,
right.
She's black.
Hard to know. Thanks for the call, Rich.
Black girl. I don't know. No, I don't know if the rules apply to the same people in California. What do you think, Dan?
I mean, I don't know. It's like with that. It's like sort of the intersectional score needs to be high enough where the rules don't apply to you. Perhaps. Yeah, perhaps. I mean, and we're talking about California, so, trying to get into the minds of decision makers there.
Oof. It's a boondoggle.
Difficult business. Jeff in Cal City.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Maybe the ACLU should help the young lady out through the organization for them touching her. There's got to be some rule against that. And it was probably racist. Was the official that grabbed her by the arm a white guy?
Well, yeah, but I mean, you don't want to. Thanks for the call, Jeff. I don't want to go down that road, like an official, like chastising her for a celebration. We don't do that, or something like that. It's like that's not. Now you're going to call this guy. Now you're going to do the identitarian thing, call this guy a racist, and go down that. No, let's not go down that rabbit hole. Let's just say, you don't take a state title away from her for what she did. And frankly, I mean, show me what the.
What does the handbook say? Or so, I mean,
yeah,
she
in terms of unsportsmanlike conduct.
Figuratively set her feet's on fire. Spray with a fire extinguisher.
Yeah, I get
That's it.
So what is unsportsmanlike conduct, and what are the penalties, and who makes the judgment, and what are the standards? I mean, you have to. There's going to be some subjectivity here, of course, but unless you like attacked another athlete or somehow cheated, I mean, almost or endangered public safety. I mean, I don't know how you take a 16-year-old state title away. I don't get it. And, and her father actually is, persuasive too. And it's great that he's involved, that he's her coach and all this stuff, and they're doing this together. I mean, I found them to be very persuasive. And if you didn't believe them, and just in terms of their version of events, you have video that supports their version of events. So hopefully Claire Adams gets her state title back, and an apology, too, because she should have been able to try for another one in the 200, as far as I'm concerned.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Hi, Amy Jacobson here. With the crime we're seeing in Illinois, I know how important it is to keep my home and my family safe. That's why I chose Goldilocks for my home security. One of their awesome technicians just came over and gave me a free assessment of my home. They found vulnerabilities that intruders typically look for and created a personalized plan for me. Goldilocks offers state-of-the-art smart home security systems with HD cameras, motion detectors, smart locks, mobile notifications. As you know, crime in Illinois is out of control, and I'll sleep easier knowing that Goldilocks has my back. They even offer commercial security systems for any size business. Tell them Amy Jacobson sent you, and Goldilocks will include 3 months of monitoring for free with any new install. Call Goldilocks today at 708-889-5600. That's 708-889-5600. Or visit them online at GoldilocksInc.com. That's GoldilocksInc.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Tony Dreyfus, founder and president of Metropolis Coffee Company and a proud new customer of Signature Bank. We're a 19-year-old specialty coffee roaster located in the heart of Chicago. Some of your favorite restaurants and cafes serve our coffee. As a small business manufacturer, we understand the importance of working with the right bank, and that's why we made the move to Signature Bank. We were tired of the impersonal service that our large bank had provided. A friend referred us to Signature Bank, and their team was on site to understand our operations firsthand. They provided us the working capital to continue our successful business operations and to fuel our ambitions for innovation and growth. We now have the flexibility to grow at our own pace. That personal touch, you can't find that at a large bank, but we found it at Signature, and we can't thank them enough.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
It's almost time once again for the annual AM 560 golf outing presented by Signature Bank. And this year, AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation to help them support America's first responder and military heroes, including homeless veterans, and to help America never forget 9/11. This year, our golf outing is happening on Wednesday, June 18th at McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. When you purchase a foursome to join us, you'll enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. And if you're a business owner, when you purchase a foursome, you'll also receive an AM 560 marketing campaign, which includes 25 one-minute commercials to air on AM 560 Monday through Friday between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m., and a free digital marketing analysis. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf. That's 560theanswer.com/golf. Sponsored in part by Trump International Hotel and Tower Chicago, Suburban Welding and Steel, and by Monarch Technical Recruiting Services.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for. For this free information, call 800-422-1609, 800-422-1609, 800-422-1609, or simply visit godra.com.
Charlie, is there something better we can do with all these pallets, OCC, and shrink wrap? It just keeps building up.
Well, we have a trash company that's supposed to haul it away. I guess they're not keeping up.
Well, maybe we should shop around. All this paper, plastic, metal, this can all be recycled. We spend way too many hours just moving it around.
Actually, my buddy's company uses Combined Resources in Addison. They pick up recyclables all over Chicago and safely dispose of it. They have this huge recycling center. Apparently, it saves them a lot in waste expenses, too.
Well, let's give Combined Resources a call.
Since 1986, Combined Resources Inc. has been your one-stop shop recycling and sustainability partner. CRI's programs reduce labor and hauling costs, boost rebate returns, and help your company go green. If your company has paper, cardboard, plastic, pallets, and metal that you want cleared and recycled, CRI will take care of it all and help you meet sustainability goals. Call 877-CRI-PLAS and learn how CRI supports smarter recycling at combinedresources.us. Combined Resources Inc., turning waste into worth, one resource at a time.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, since it's Gay Pride Month, Air Canada is doing something different, Dan. They had their first ever all-2 SLGBTQIA+++ flight. And, well, here it is. They put this out on social media. They X'd it out or tweeted it out and got so much backlash that they had to take down the responses within an hour.
We are doing the first ever, now let me get that one straight because a few letters have been added to this one, 2S LGBTQIA+ flight ever in Canada. I do identify with the progress flag. There's something in there that represents me as well. So it was a bit of joy having the opportunity to do this flight today.
Features our very first all 2S LGBTQIA+ crew.
The safety and the well-being of all the passengers on board rests in our hands. So it doesn't matter who they are, what they represent. I'm equally responsible for all of them. And want to celebrate not just our community, but our freedom to be who we are, both at work and in society. Valuing people equally, both in the air and on the ground, and celebrating our identities, no matter what they are, with customers and our employees is important to us. Shante, you all stay.
There's your flight attendants, pilots, co-pilots, people on the ground crew, baggage claim.
Stewardess, I want to get off this flight. And that's different than any other day where you are indifferent to your...
Well, they wouldn't let you if you had to be gay, one of those letters in order to be invited to work that day on that flight. And then people that took the flight that flew on this Air Canada flight were also part of that community.
And you really want them to be the 51st state, Mr. President? That's a hard pass for me.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
7:37, we'll talk to our friend Brian Westbury, chief economist at First Trust in Wheaton, about the BBB, about tariffs and trade, about all matters economic. 7:37.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here is Nikki Whaley.
Good morning. It's 67 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. President Trump's high tariffs on imported steel and aluminum are now in effect. The 25% tariffs doubled up to 50% just after midnight Eastern Time. The White House says the increase is in response to trade practices that undermine national security. Trump announced the new tariffs last week during a rally at a Pittsburgh steel mill, saying they will even further secure the steel industry in the U.S. Elon Musk is taking aim at President Trump's massive so-called Big Beautiful Bill less than a week after bowing out of government service.
President Trump has dubbed the tax cuts and spending plans as a big, beautiful bill. On Tuesday, his recently close advisor, Elon Musk, called it outrageous, saying, "Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong." This is not the first time that Mr. Musk has attacked the bill. He said he was disappointed after House Republicans passed it last month, adding that it would increase the budget deficit and undermine the work that the DOGE team is doing. The White House press secretary said the president stood behind his bill, and House Speaker Mike Johnson said that Mr. Musk is terribly wrong. Kate Fisher, Washington.
News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Hugh Hewitt can see the future of Gaza.
They're down to Mohammed Sinwar, who's like the C team. The little brother who gets to play because big brother is LeBron, the LeBron of terrorists. And then he gets killed. I don't think they have anyone to deal with. And this is going to end with Hamas fleeing in disarray. And Israel's going to reoccupy all of Gaza, and that's all there is to it.
The Hugh Hewitt Show, afternoons at 2, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, AM 560 listeners, Jeff checking in again from JeffBuysYourHouse.com. What I learned serving our great nation in the military is that every mission is unique and success starts with listening. For nearly 20 years, our veteran-led house buying team has taken the time to understand what matters most to each homeowner we serve. Every home has a story, and every seller has different needs. Whether you want a quick closing or need extra time to find your next place, we customize our approach around what works best for you. That's how we've earned hundreds of 5-star Google reviews and an A+ rating with the BBB, by putting relationships first. No repairs needed, no cleanout required, and you pick the closing date that works best for your schedule. At JeffBuysYourHouse.com, we're here to help you through the entire transition, not just the transaction. Are you ready to work with a local team that takes the time to understand your home selling needs? Sell your house to the trusted source by calling us today at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or JeffBuysYourHouse.com.
No one wants to leave behind stress for their family. That's why a trust or a will is so important. Without one, your assets might go to the wrong people or leave out loved ones. Also, probate is long, expensive, and often avoidable with a revocable trust. Trustandwill.com makes it simple to create a personalized estate plan. A trust or will provides clarity and peace of mind. Get 20% off on your estate plan documents by visiting trustandwill.com/radio.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the retirement tax bill calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com. Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
Protect your liver and give it the support that it deserves with Active Liver from New Nordic. Find it in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or Amazon, or NewNordicUSA.com.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens, inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 20 minutes. Outbound, 19 minutes. On the Kennedy, inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 45 minutes. Outbound, 39 minutes. On the Eisenhower, inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 46 minutes. Outbound, 37 minutes. On the Stevenson, inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 45 minutes. Outbound, about 28 minutes. This report is sponsored by Summit Racing Equipment. This Father's Day, grab great gearhead gifts at Summit Racing. You'll find parts, tools, accessories, apparel, and more. Or give the perfect card, a Summit Racing gift card. Fast shipping, massive inventory, and expert tech advice are always a click away at summitracing.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Clouds and periods of rain, thunderstorm for today. Could be some pounding on the roads. Watch out for that if you're driving today. Highs near 60. Partly cloudy for tonight, low 53. Clouds and sun, nice day tomorrow, the high at 75. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We mentioned a bit earlier in the week some of the comments from Jamie Dimon, of course, the CEO of J.P. Morgan, at the Reagan National Economic Forum, which is an answer to the WEF, first annual Reagan National Economic Forum. And after Dimon got through talking about some of the silly policies of the last administration, including but not limited to open borders, he had this to say about the biggest threat to America.
The biggest one underlying both that is the enemy within. I'm not as worried about China. China is a potential adversary. They're doing a lot of things well. They have a lot of problems. What I really worry about is us. Can we get our own act together, our own values, our own capability, our own management? What you heard today on stage was the amount of mismanagement is extraordinary, by state, by city, for pensions, and that stuff is going to kill us. And, I always get asked this question, are we going to be the reserve currency? And no. If we are not the preeminent military and the preeminent economy in 40 years, we will not be the reserve currency. That's a fact. Just read history. Now, I think we will be. Warren Buffett here would tell you we're enormously resilient. I agree with that. I think this time is different. This time we have to get our act together, and we have to do it very quickly.
We have to get our act together and do so quickly. Are we doing so? Brian Westbury is chief economist at First Trust Portfolios. Brian, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Dan, great to be with you. Good morning, Amy.
Your response to Jamie Dimon's description of the threat from within, we have to get our act together very quickly. Does the big, beautiful bill advance the flag of getting our act together?
Well, first of all, I agree with him 100, 1,000, 1,000,000%. I don't know how to say that any stronger. The unfunded liabilities, if you just look at Illinois, technically the state and the city of Chicago are broke, and they have been for a long time. And we were able to hide it with all the COVID money. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars flowed to state and city governments, and they acted like they had their fiscal house in order while that was happening, and now it's over, and everything's gone right back to where it was before COVID, and we kidded ourselves, we fooled ourselves. If we look at Social Security and Medicare, Social Security in the early 2030s, it's going to have an automatic cut to Social Security. It's built into the program because revenues will not equal outlays. And every elected official and all their budget officials, they know these numbers. They're not hard to figure out. They're actuarially, we can calculate them using actuary science. We know this, and yet they won't do anything. And that takes us to the big, beautiful bill. What you keep hearing is it cuts $1.6 trillion out of spending over the next 10 years. And that sounds like a huge number, but we are right now we're on schedule to spend $87 trillion, the federal government is, over the next 10 years. So 1.6% of that is about 1.8%. So we can't even find the will to cut 2% out of the budget, and let alone 10 or 20, which is what we really need. Government is just too big, and that's why we're growing slow. That's why people can't afford houses and automobiles. It's because government is taking so much of what we produce.
So you understand Elon Musk's frustrations with it?
Gosh, yeah, he called it a disgusting abomination. I mean, here's a guy who, figures out how to get rockets up and Starlink and put satellites up and saves people's lives and builds electric cars and he's an amazing. He's he's a cross between Da Vinci and Einstein. And here he goes to government and tries to fix it. And he just runs into a bureaucratic brick wall. And by the way, this has happened before. Reagan hired W.R. Grace, who was a major financial figure at the time in the early 1980s. And he came up with massive changes to government that we could do that would have saved hundreds of billions of dollars, and none of them were put into place. And it's, in a sense, the same thing that Elon Musk has run into today. So he's frustrated. Like, why won't government cut spending? Why won't they fix these things that Jamie Dimon said perfectly are coming down the road? We know we have problems, and yet we won't fix them.
Well, I mean, no one is beyond reproach, and that includes Elon Musk. And Elon Musk is not averse to receiving government largesse and has actually defended government largesse in the form of green energy subsidies. So, everybody has their pet government program or a government carve out, and this becomes the problem, that it becomes like Illinois, which is, it's sort of a microcosm of this problem at the federal level, which is becomes a cut me in or cut it out warlordocracy. And so you just keep conferring, you keep conferring benefits, and once a benefit is conferred, that it creates a constituency, and those who benefit from that constituency will never reduce the benefit to that constituency.
Yeah, I mean, Dan, great point. And I wasn't trying to ignore that and just praise Elon Musk for everything he's ever done in his life. He did accept subsidies, and however, in his attempt to cut spending at DOGE, one of the things they did go after was all of the Green New Deal subsidies that were part of the. Remember, we called it the Inflation Reduction Act, and all we did was spend, and that's the real problem. The last 2 years, we had deficits as a share of our GDP of over 6.5%. These were bigger than even Ronald Reagan's deficit when he took over in the early 1980s. The difference was he had 10% unemployment to deal with. In the last 2 years, we were less than 4%. And so I would look at these last 2 years of government spending as being some of the most irresponsible budgets we've ever seen. And we're getting toward cutting spending, but not nearly enough. Right now we're on track to have permanent budget deficits of $1.5 to $2 trillion as far as the eye can see, and we're not willing to cut spending to fix it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. But I think some people may believe that even if they're sympathetic to the point that you made, may believe we can grow our way out of it. And maybe Trump is one of them. You saw, I'm sure, the Atlanta Fed forecast for second quarter GDP growth now at 4.6%. So the AI revolution is going to finally increase worker productivity at more than a point or two a year. And you've got the tax relief going to unleash the entrepreneurial spirits of American industrialists, and we're going to grow. And if we grow and we improve the rate of increase in worker productivity, then we can grow our way out of this profligate spending. Do you agree?
Yeah, well, yes. In like a 30,000-foot view, remember when we're talking about, these are two different things. The 4.6% growth in the second quarter is different from the next 10 years of real GDP growth.
Yes, and right.
Over the last 20 years, the U.S. economy, in spite of smartphones and apps and the cloud and the web and AI and Starlink and electric car, in spite of all this stuff, and in spite of the government massively increasing spending, in spite of the Fed holding rates at 0 for 9 years, we did all of that, all these new technologies, 0% interest rates, massive increase in government spending, and yet the economy only grew 2% a year.
Yeah.
If we want this deficit, these deficits to not hold us back, we need 3 to 4% growth. The question is, how do you get there? And my belief is the only way to do it is to cut the size of government. You know, Europe has grown 1 to 1.5% a year for 40 years. Is it because they're dumber than us? Is it because they can't figure out how to do anything? No, I would argue it's because their government's too big. Well, we have now reached the point where our government is as big, maybe even in some cases bigger, than Europe's, and that's why we're not growing fast enough. And then to come back to, everybody's going to focus on this second quarter of this year, 4.5% growth or something like that. Remember, we declined 0.2 in the first quarter. Mm-hmm. So if you average both of those out, it's 2.2, 2.3% growth. And it's about the same as the last 20 years. And these two first quarters were highly impacted by front-running tariffs. In other words, we imported all this stuff in the first quarter to get away from the tariffs, to beat them. And now in the second quarter, imports are declining, and that's why the first quarter went down. The second quarter is going to go up. It's really the second half of the year that's going to show us what the trend is. And I think the trend is 2% or less right now. Government is holding us back. And that's the problem. If you had a federal, state, and local spending plus the cost of complying with government regulations, government takes 51% of everything we produce, everything, and either redistributes it or builds windmills or builds solar panels, whatever it does, it's taking 50%. No wonder we can't afford houses, because it's taking half of everything we produce and so your house is a windmill in Iowa. That's what's going on.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that. I just saw data on the median age of first-time home buyers in America. In 1980, it was 28 years old. In 2024, median age of first-time home buyer, 38 years old.
Wow.
Yep, exactly. And, if you look at, one of the things that I've looked at over the years is the cost of a median home, all right, the average home price versus average income. And if you go back to the 50s, 60s, 70s, it was 3 times income. Today it's 5, 6, 7 times income.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is government's taking half of everything we produce. And so no wonder houses are unaffordable. It's not because BlackRock's buying them all, or Airbnb, we're Airbnb and everything. And it's not just because of local regulations. All those matter, but in reality, government just keeps taking more and more and more, a bigger share of everything we produce. And to me, it's pretty obvious. If you give up half of everything you produce, and government pushes it wherever it wants it to go, you can't afford a house or a car, and that's what's happening today.
Yeah, and meanwhile, our free market friend Javier Milei down in Argentina, I love bringing him into this discussion because not enough people do, because he's Hayekian on domestic policy as well as trade policy. He's a across-the-board free marketeer, and he has been materially reducing the size and scope and expense of the Argentinian government, and he has been unleashing the animal spirits of his economy. Argentina's economy reportedly grew 8% year over year in April. That's after growing almost 7% in January, 6% in February, and 5.5% in March. He's got inflation down. He's got the economy churning. He's reduced the piano on the Argentina's economy's back, which is the government. And looky. It seems like we have that Argentina and Milei have a model that we could scale here in the United States.
Yeah, he is amazing, and he gave Elon Musk a chainsaw because he famously campaigned with one, talking about cutting red tape, but the problem, or the benefit, or the bonus that he has is that the judges of his country can't stop him. And he has the power to actually cut the bureaucracy and fire people. Yeah. And we are getting stopped left and right by judges from San Francisco saying, no, you can't lay off these government workers. You can't riff them. And judges, bureaucracy is stifling us.
Yeah, judges in San Francisco, but let's be honest with ourselves too, as you were intimating, big spending Republicans in the House and Senate too.
Oh gosh. Yeah, there's plenty of blame to go around. Don't get me wrong, but President Trump only has a few tools that he can use. He can't really change the course of spending massively. That takes Congress. He can't change tax rates. that takes Congress. He can use tariffs. He can riff or, reduction in force government bureaucracies. But even in the end, to really change that, he needs an act of Congress because he can't get rid of programs that they put in place. But he's doing it at the edges, and then these judges are stopping him from even doing it at the edges.
No, the Millet example.
This is why Elon Musk calls it abomination.
Yeah,
he's right. It is an abomination. We're frozen. We can't fix anything like Millet can.
Well, right, but my point is, for Millet, the example is not just for Trump; it's for the entire political class in D.C. I mean, that's the message. Yeah. I'm not just sending the Millet message in Trump's direction. I'm saying in the direction of everybody in Washington, and frankly, you may be federal district court judges around the country too. But if you had Congress acting consistent with their the power of the purse, then you would have federal district court judges that would be more hamstrung to intercede where legislative power is being wielded. So that's one point. I wanted to get to something else. One other point that I mentioned earlier in the show that I wanted to get your reaction to, just in terms of, does this really underscore this dangerous moment we're in that Jamie Dimon was talking about, you're describing? Chief economist at Apollo did an analysis, and he suggests that the U.S. government credit default swap spreads, which, of course, reflect the cost of protecting a loan against default, the credit default swap spreads for the United States government are trading at levels similar to Greece and Italy.
Yeah, the U.S. is not going. Yeah, the U.S. is not going to default on its debt. Here's the problem. If we're first of all, that's crazy. I wouldn't pay that insurance rate ever for a Treasury bond today. I think it's way overpriced. That's insane. Because we can print money. And now the problem with that is that we end up with inflation. That's not default. That's inflation. So what we do is, if you buy one of our bonds, we pay you back, but we pay you back with dollars that are worth a lot less.
Right.
So the markets are doing some strange things. People are saying that American exceptionalism is over, that we're going to lose our reserve currency status. And Jamie Dimon is right that if we don't change course, maybe in 40 or 50 years, we do lose our reserve currency status. But as of right now, tell me what currency in the world could take over for the dollar. There's not one. Nobody has the rule of law. Nobody has a constitution like ours. Nobody has trustworthy financials like the United States does for both our corporations. I mean, I don't trust state and local government budgets, but we all know they're in trouble. But what I'm getting to is that the transparency of our financial system, the ability of law to protect private property rights, that's why the dollar, we're not the world's reserve currency for nothing. And there's no other country in the world that's as large as us, or even close, that has the same transparency of law and order and financials that we do. And so there's nobody to take over for us. And so I don't think we're going to lose this. I don't think we're not going to default on our debt. We may inflate, but defaulting, I think, is like, maybe Apollo is going to go short the Treasury bonds because they think we're going to default. I think that won't work.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but I wanted to get your take on it. One more item. Larry Fink was on with Bloomberg talking about the future of financial assets, what that looks like, and he suggested that this is what it's going to be.
We believe the next step going forward will be the tokenization of financial assets. And that means every stock, every bond will have its own, basically, CUSIP. It'll be on one general ledger. Every investor, you and I, will have our own number, our own identification. We could rid ourselves of all issues around illicit activities around bonds and stocks and digital by having a tokenization. But the most importantly thing, we could customize strategies through tokenization that fits every individual. We would have instantaneous settlement. Think about all the costs of settling bonds and stock. But if you had a tokenization, everything would be immediate because it's just a line item. And so we believe this is a technological transformation for financial assets. If you want to talk about voting and voting choice and all the things, if we know every moment who is the owner of that stock and it's now time to vote, every individual who has ownership is identified and they can vote their own shares.
What say you, Brian?
Yeah, well, and what he's talking about, just so everybody realizes, maybe everybody's smarter than me, and I have read a ton about blockchain, and this all stems from blockchain technology, which is the basis of all our cryptocurrencies. It really started with Bitcoin. Well, it probably started earlier, but what he's talking about is when everything is on a general ledger, which is what every trade of Bitcoin is recorded. And what we're doing is we're taking that blockchain technology and we're using it to digitize and healthcare records and titles for property and ownership of equities and bonds. And so he's right. I mean, we're going to move in that direction. I think it's going to take a long time. Mainly because the power, the electricity needed. I mean, you start thinking about that these Meta and Microsoft and Google, they want to buy nuclear power plants to power their AI gigafactories. And that's the kind of computerization that we would need to tokenize everything. And then just take one step further. If everything is on the computer like that, which a lot of our life is today, we're at risk for electricity failure or an attack by an EMP device,
Brian,
something like that. So
we're going to have to leave it.
It's a really interesting topic.
We're going to have to leave it there. Brian Westbury, Chief Economist, First Trust Portfolio in Wheaton. Thanks as always, Brian. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Amy.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line. It is now 8 a.m. WIND Chicago.
The debate is big, but maybe not beautiful. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Over that massive budget bill senators keep working on the day after Elon Musk called it a disgusting abomination, warning Congress is going to bankrupt America. Republican Senator Ashley Moody tells Fox.
We need to make sure we're bringing fiscal sanity, and I think you're having senators right now talk about, can we save more money?
And while House Speaker Mike Johnson calls Musk terribly wrong, and President Trump says the big, beautiful bill, as he calls it, will lead to an economic boom, Fox's Chad Perkin reports from the Capitol other Republicans in the Senate worry the debt will balloon.
You have Rand Paul, who was opposed to this bill. Ron Johnson, Republican of Wisconsin, has some problems. Maybe Josh Hawley has some issues with Medicaid. So maybe that adds fuel to the fire, and that's why this is so tough to get this through the Senate.
U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum imports were doubled today. They're up to 50%, and today's the deadline the U.S. gave countries in trade talks with the U.S. to make their best offers. On Truth Social overnight, President Trump posted he likes China's leader, but he's extremely hard to make a deal with. U.S.-Iran nuclear talks might have hit a dead end. Iran's supreme leader rejecting a key American demand.
It's reported the deal would limit or even end Iran's ability to enrich uranium, the element needed to produce both nuclear power and a nuclear weapon. Ayatollah Khamenei blasting what he calls the rude and arrogant leaders of America and saying the proposal contradicts Iran's principle of self-reliance.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. President Trump has said one way or the other, talks are military action. He won't let Iran build nuclear weapons. Now an update on the Boulder, Colorado terror attack.
Justice will be served.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says not only is Mohammed Solomon facing a hate crime charge, they want to know
to what extent his family knew about this horrific attack, if they had any knowledge of it, or if they provided support to it.
His wife and 5 children, one who just graduated high school, are in immigration custody now, could be deported. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 62 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The parents of a 10-year-old boy are suing Chicago public schools following the choking death of their son. Perry Williams has more.
Travis and Lakeisha Jones-Townsend say young Cody had an individual education plan due to a special need that required constant supervision. The couple says their child was not properly supervised when he choked on food last October.
No parent should have to send their kid to school and then not see them that next night. Like, I wouldn't want that for any parent.
The lawsuit also names the Chicago School Board and the City of Chicago as defendants.
McDonald's is bringing back the snack wrap next month. The popular menu item featuring chicken, lettuce, cheese, and sauce wrapped in a tortilla will once again be on the menu starting July 10th. The snack wrap was taken off the menu in 2016, and fans have been calling for its return ever since. In a social media post, the person behind the McDonald's account said snack wrap fans are responsible for its return. They said fans' comments and petitions and tweets created a movement so powerful that you finally won. Police are investigating after a DePaul University soccer player was found dead in his dorm room. 20-year-old Chase Stegall was discovered unresponsive while on the Lincoln Park campus. Cook County Medical Examiner's Office says that they have scheduled an autopsy to determine the cause of death. He was a sophomore and played 16 of the soccer team's 17 games. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com, making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes, but now time for the Signature Bank Business Beat.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Another discount retailer is reporting higher sales as more people look for bargains. Dollar Tree's earnings expectations and sales at existing stores increased nearly 5.5%. However, the company says its profit could be down as much as 50% from a year ago because of changing tariffs. Shoppers are also cutting back at the drugstore. Kenvue, the company that makes Benadryl allergy pills and Band-Aids, says tariffs, persistent inflation, and weaker demand for its allergy medications are hurting its sales. Mortgage rates moderated last week, but the Mortgage Bankers Association says demand for both home buying and refinancing declined. The group's average for a 30-year fixed mortgage was down to 6.92% last week. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola. Invested in you.
Charlie Kirk explains the cover-up.
Everybody, they were running this man for re-election less than 10 months ago. We know that Joe Biden did not have the mental faculties. I said this to the face of reporters for years, and they said, oh, no, you're just a right-wing extremist. And these reporters actively covered up one of the greatest scandals in American history.
The Charlie Kirk Show, weekdays at 11, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
At AlmostFreeTeeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant-supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
People ask us all the time, when's the best time to replace an old air conditioner? Simple. Before it breaks. Because when it does, you know it'll be the hottest day of the year, and suddenly you're scrambling like hundreds of others to get help during a heat wave. At Air Right Heating and Cooling, we've seen it all. We know there's never a good time to be without AC, especially in Chicagoland, where the humidity can make 80 degrees feel like 100. At Air Right, our experienced technicians don't just work fast, they'll do it right. Browse through our more than 1,500 5-star Google reviews to see what our loyal customers love most about us. If it's been a while since your system was inspected, don't wait for a heat wave before having it checked out. And right now, AM 560 listeners receive $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right, doing it right since 1959.
Hello, my name is Dr. Michael Huber, co-developer of Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail. Did you know that the 23 natural ingredients in Virago are not only an immune enhancer, but also support and protect your heart, lungs, brain, and kidneys? These organs are negatively affected by numerous diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, and chronic inflammation. The natural ingredients in Virago, such as luteolin and fisetin, protect and improve the cognitive function in your brain. The uracilic acid in Virago protects and improves kidney functions, whereas quercetin protects and improves heart function. These are just a few of the natural ingredients that provide a synergistic effect. Virago, inspiring healthy choices.
Boost your immune system with Virago. Order your bottle of Virago today. Order online at myvirago.com and use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Maha and Virago, making America healthy again.
This is a paid advertisement for legal services provided by Premier Disability Services. Premier Disability Services is not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency. This advertisement was produced by Sequoia Media Group on behalf of Premier Disability Services, which is solely responsible for its content. Are you no longer able to work due to a recent injury or disability? This is an important message for you. If you're between the age of 45 and 63 and need help filing for disability benefits or were denied by your insurance company, Premier Disability can help. Call 800-560-1808. Whether you're a first-time filer or filed before and were denied, you'll pay nothing unless you are approved for benefits. Thousands of disability claims are unnecessarily denied each month. Work with a team who'll fight to get you the benefits you deserve, who understands the physical, emotional, and potential financial impacts and will share their insider expertise. But act now, because there are time limits to apply for benefits. If you're between the age of 45 and 63 and need help filing a disability claim or filed previously and were denied, call 800-560-1808. Call now.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/deal. That's leaffilter.com/deal.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 18 minutes, 22 minutes outbound. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne interchange, 63 minutes, outbound about 39 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 44 minutes, outbound about 41 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 46 minutes, outbound about 31 minutes. On the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Byrne interchange, 40 minutes, outbound about 14 minutes. Traffic is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com, making smiles great again. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Periods of rain, thunderstorm today. Could be some ponding on the roadways. Look out for that. High today is 60. Partly cloudy for tonight, low 53. Clouds and sun, pleasant. It'll be a warmer day tomorrow. The high tomorrow afternoon, 75. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Real Story with Jeannie Ives, powered by Breakthrough Ideas, Sunday evening at 7 on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Here's a novel approach that the Department of Justice is undertaking in the direction of alleged institutions of higher learning that are platforming anti-Semitism and all kinds of barbarism on the college campus. On May 19th, Todd Blanche, the Deputy AG, issued a memorandum announcing the administration would begin employing the False Claims Act to investigate those who defraud the United States by taking its money while knowingly violating civil rights laws and falsely certifying compliance with such laws. These it's a key TAM action for those steeped in the law. Accordingly, a university that accepts federal funds could violate the False Claims Act when it encourages anti-Semitism, refuses to protect Jewish students, allows men to intrude into women's bathrooms, or requires women to compete against men in athletic competitions. Colleges and universities cannot accept federal funds while discriminating against their students. The False Claims Act is also implicated whenever federal funding recipients or contractors certify compliance with civil rights laws while knowingly engaging in racist preferences, mandates, policies, programs, and activities, including through DEI. Pam Bondi, the department strongly encourages anyone with knowledge of discrimination by federal funding recipients to consider filing a key TAM action under the False Claims Act. I wonder if this is consistent with what former Harvard Professor Emeritus Alan Dershowitz is discussing in his new book, The Preventative State, The Challenge of Preventing Serious Harms While Preserving Essential Liberties. He's calling for a new jurisprudence in this area. Professor Dershowitz, Emeritus Professor of Law, Harvard Law, his podcast is The Dersh Show, which can be found on Spotify, YouTube, and iTunes. And again, from the prolific Professor Dershowitz, The Preventative State is his new offering. Professor Dershowitz, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Well, thanks. This is my 57th book. I'm now working on my 58th, which is very, very relative to what you were talking about a minute ago. It's called Trump to Harvard, Go Fund Yourself. And it's all about
that is the perfect title.
Funding. Yeah. And Harvard's response is sue you.
Right.
But we'll see. We'll see. Look, there's a lot of fraud going on. Look at what happened at MIT last week. A woman was selected, the president of the student body, to give the graduation speech. She submitted the speech in advance and was picked based on the speech. And then she pulled a bait and switch. And she spent her whole speech attacking Jews, Israel, Zionism, etc., and defrauded the university. They prevented her from coming to graduation the next day, but they should have withheld her degree. She engaged in fraud. People go to jail for that. It's called bait and switch. And so I understand the administration using this bait and switch rationale. Same thing happened at Harvard, where a student presented a speech, and at NYU, students presented a speech and then were allowed to speak and then gave a completely different speech. That's not First Amendment protected. It's protected to give whatever speech you want as long as you're honest about it. But if you're playing bait and switch, by getting federal funding, those are very interesting issues, and I'm glad to see that the administration is pursuing them as long as they do it consistent with civil liberties. The thesis of my book is Benjamin Franklin, who said those who would give up essential liberties for a little bit of security deserve neither. But it's perfectly okay to give up a little bit of liberty, unessential liberty, in order to achieve maximum security. If we could have prevented 9/11 by arresting 10 people, 3 of whom mistakenly, or if Israel could have prevented October 7th by bombing a Hamas target preventively, I think a lot of people would have agreed with that. So prevention is essential at a time when we have threats of cataclysmic dangers. On the other hand, preserving civil liberties is essential too, and we have to strike the appropriate balance.
Well, I mean, just sticking on the higher education issue for a minute in Harvard, the president there, Alan Garber, and he's not the only one making this argument, essentially concedes that there's an anti-Semitism problem on campus. However, that a problem should not in any way endanger federal funding for important research and underwriting of student loans and so on and so forth, that the two should be completely disconnected. And this is what other university presidents are arguing as well. What do you say in response to that?
Well, I think we need targeted defunding. And in my book, I call for targeted defunding. You defund the areas that are causing these problems, but sometimes they're general. Look, Alan Garber's a wonderful man. I've known him for years. But he approved an honorary degree. Only 6 honorary degrees were given by Harvard at graduation. One of them to a woman from California who had called for an academic boycott against Jews who support Israelis, and she would prevent research. She would prevent Israeli Jewish scientists from working with American scientists to cure cancer. So, and she got an honorary degree from Alan Garber and from the Harvard Corporation. So the problem goes beyond the Divinity School, which is a cesspool of anti-Semitism, the Public Health School, which is a garbage dump of anti-Semitism, the Carr Center for Human Rights at the Kennedy School, which is also a terrible place for anti-Semitism. And it sometimes applies to the entire universities. And so the university has to get a little bit of a kick in the rear end, but I don't want to see cancer research in any way influenced. I also don't want to see visas denied to students who would not do anything wrong. We have to have targeted visa denials. That's the thesis of the book. Get targeted, get specific, focus on the evils, not on the goods that universities are doing. And, you know, the universities can copy a lot from good universities. University of Chicago has done a very, very a good job. Vanderbilt University has done a good job. Emory University. There are universities that have really taken on this issue and, without denying anybody their free speech rights, have created atmospheres where anti-Semitism is not tolerated. Look, the greatest human rights struggle today in the world, is not the rights of black people, not the rights of gay people, not the rights of women. Those are all in the right directory. They're all moving in the right direction toward rights and liberty and equality. The greatest human rights problem in the world today is the attack on Jews, Zionists, and Israel, the double standard. And if human rights people ignore that problem, they're ignoring the main problem of human rights the way they did in the 1930s in Germany.
I mean, obviously, the anti-Semitism on university campuses, we're talking about it all the time, but do you see a direct link between academic rhetoric and attacks like the one that happened in Boulder? Or do you blame progressive Democrats maybe encouraged him?
I have evidence of it. I was one of the primary defenders of protesters during the Vietnam War. I represented a lot of protesters, including violent protesters, at the Chicago Democratic Convention. And with my own eyes, I saw some of these protesters who started by engaging in destructive violence become murderers. Kathy Boudin killed a policeman.
Yeah.
She planted bombs and blew up her house on 11th Street. The weathermen, I saw a trajectory, and the weathermen, a lot of them were from Chicago, and I saw a definite correlation between violent demonstrations against the Vietnam War and moving to the next step and picking up a bomb or picking up a gun and shooting and killing people. And I think we're going to see more of that. I got an honorary degree the day after the events in D.C. where 2 people were killed. And so the security people at the university that gave me the honorary degree had to come over to me and tell me they're worried for my life. They're worried about a copycat offense because I'm a prominent pro-Israel defender. And so they had to come up with a plan for my protection, including policemen with machine guns and policemen with unbreakable glass, bulletproof glass, protecting me. And so I think we're going to see more of this, and I think there's a correlation between that and the rhetoric we're hearing, globalize the Intifada. That means kill Jews. Palestine will be free. Free of what? Free of Jews. And I think we're seeing people that people may not mean that, but that's the way it's interpreted by people who have an inclination and a predisposition toward violence.
I wanted to take up another case study in your book, The Preventative State, where you try to provide a framework for balancing this. This is particularly salient in Chicago and Illinois because of the Safety Act, our elimination of cash bail categorically. It's Chapter 3, Preventing Crime, Bail Sentencing, and Preventative Detention in your book. But, give us, at the state level, there's a lot of opposition to the Safety Act because you have people that are out on electronic monitoring or just released on their own recognizance who are committing violent crimes. And then you say, well, if we would have held them over for trial, then this preventable crime could have been prevented. And so how should we sort of think about that balance? on that issue?
Yeah, this is what I've been thinking about since literally 1964. I started writing about bail, and that's what I saw as the paradigm of preventive detention. Look, too many people are held in preventive detention pre-trial who wouldn't commit crimes just because they don't have enough money to raise the bail, and too few people who are dangerous are held because they do have the money, and that's why abolishing monetary bail is a good idea, because it bears no relationship or little relationship to the protection of society. But it's very, very hard to predict which people will commit the crimes while out on bail. And if a judge makes a mistake by letting somebody out wrongly and he commits a crime, that becomes a headline. If the judge, on the other hand, makes a mistake by keeping somebody in who would not commit a crime, nobody knows about that. So when in doubt, don't let them out becomes the mantra. But too many people already are let out, and too few are kept in based on what we ought to have is artificial intelligence has given us the ability to increase our predictive knowledge. And so I would hope that bail can be used more intelligently as a preventive mechanism. By the way, deportation is a preventive mechanism. It goes back to the Bible. It was called exile.
Right.
When we have people in a country who are endangering the country, we exile them, we deport them. But we have to make sure we do it in a targeted way. You know, in my book, The Preventive State, I cover everything from that to whether Israel and the United States should preemptively destroy Iran's nuclear reactor. In the 1930s, Germany was building up to becoming the worst nation in the history of the world, killing 50 million people. And Britain and France could have prevented it by attacking Germany in 1935 preventively. And Goebbels thought they would. But they didn't. If Churchill had been the prime minister in 1935, I suspect he would have done it. But instead, we had people who wanted to be conciliatory toward the Nazis, and we allowed them to pass the danger point and become the most dangerous country in the history of the world. So prevention can be small issues like bail, or can be bigger, mega issues like attacking Germany in 1935 or attacking Iran today. These are the kinds of issues that I discuss in the preventive state.
Well, sure, you want to use AI for predictive enhancement, but by the same token, you don't want to turn society into a Minority Report where you're arresting people based on you think the crime that you think they're going to commit before they commit it.
No, I agree with you. I wrote my first articles about this way before a Minority Report came out. So I've been thinking and writing about the preventive state since the middle 1960s, and finally, at the age of 86, I finally decided to write my magnum opus, The Preventive State, which puts together all the research and thinking that I've been teaching that I was doing over the past 60 years.
But would you say some of this is just commonsensical too? Like, for example, in Illinois, just going back to this as a concrete example,
sure.
We're like we purposely blind ourselves. Judges, cannot consider prior bad acts in making a public safety determination for holding a defendant over for trial. But I mean, if you used an AI tool, or if you just had common sense, a guy that's been arrested 12 times and convicted 6 times, including for violent or violent adjacent felonies, probably is somebody you want to hold over for trial, and you don't need AI for that.
No doubt about that. The best predictor of the future is the past. And if a person has a long record of criminal conduct, that's predictive of future criminal conduct. And so it does require common sense. And in most states, you can take into account a prior record in deciding whether to keep somebody or allow somebody to go free pending trial. But in many states, all you can do is raise the bail amount. I have a case now pending somewhere in the United States where my clients were prepared to pay for their own security and make sure that they couldn't get out of their own home. But the court said, no, you can't do that because it would discriminate against the poor who don't have the facilities to protect the society. I mean, these are hard issues. These are issues we've been debating for hundreds of years. The first case I discuss in my book, The Preventive State, is the assassination attempt on the life of Andrew Jackson. And the first decision was whether to hold the person in jail pending his trial. And initially they said, no, we would let him out, even though he tried to kill the president. Ultimately, they kept him in. But we've been debating and deciding these issues now from the beginning of history. And it's about time we put it together in a book. And that's what I've done in The Preventive State.
You might want to put this in your book. I mean, we have this morning a Homer Glenn couple. They were charged with first-degree murder in the death of their 2-year-old daughter. They were charged yesterday with that. The charges were upgraded. They're out on pre-trial conditions. And they also have a 6-year-old child who's in protective custody, but they're out. They're at home.
Yeah, I know that.
Are you kidding me?
When you have situational crimes, which means crimes that are focused on particular situations like a family crime, they are less likely to be repeated than if you have people who are out there just, holding up liquor stores. So there's a lot of data on this, but, somebody who kills a 2-year-old, obviously, there's a strong case, particularly if there's another member of the family around, for not allowing them out on bail. But judges make wrong decisions all the time on both sides. Too many people are let out who should be kept in, and too many people are kept in who should be let out. And we're just doing it wrong, and we're doing it wrong militarily. We could have prevented 9/11. Israel could have prevented October 7th. They had the intelligence, but they didn't know how to use it. We could have prevented Pearl Harbor. And you know what happens? After we fail to prevent something like Pearl Harbor, we then overreact and put 110,000 Japanese Americans, many of them citizens, into detention centers needlessly. None of them would have committed crimes, but we overreact. We overreacted after 9/11. We could have prevented it. We didn't. Instead, we passed the Patriot Act, which goes much, much, much too far. So we do too little preventively and too much reactively, and that's the thesis of my book, The Preventive State. And I cover everything from COVID to, you name it, to environmental issues. We live in a time when prevention has become more important than ever, and yet it poses great danger of civil liberties when we prevent too much and we do it thoughtlessly.
He is Alan Dershowitz, Emeritus Professor of Law, Harvard. His podcast, The Dersh Show, can be found on Spotify, YouTube, and iTunes. And his new book that we've been discussing, The Preventative State, The Challenge of Preventing Serious Harms While Preserving Essential Liberties. The Preventative State. Professor Dershowitz, thank you as always.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Enjoy uninterrupted programming from Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson around the clock, all day, every day, including daily replays of Chicago's Morning Answer on Dan and Amy 24/7. Listen now at danandamy247.com.
Business owners, now's the time for your business to make the move to a locally owned business bank. Hi, Mike Gallagher here to let you know that you don't have to look far. Signature Bank was founded in Chicago with a simple mission to help companies like yours grow, succeed, and thrive. Their decisions are made locally by a terrific team that knows your name, cares about your business, and invests in your success. That's why Signature Bank is my bank. I'm a customer. As business owners, they knew that local family-owned businesses were not getting the help they needed or deserved. So I invite you to reach out to my friends at Signature Bank today. Write the number down. Remember this phone number, Signature Bank, 773-467-5630, and learn all about this great bank, 773-467-5630, or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. That's signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank makes commercial banking personal. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Pluto TV.
Charlie, is there something better we can do with all these pallets, OCC, and shrink wrap? It just keeps building up.
Well, we have a trash company that's supposed to haul it away. I guess they're not keeping up.
Well, maybe we should shop around. All this paper, plastic, metal, this can all be recycled. We spend way too many hours just moving it around.
Actually, my buddy's company uses Combined Resources in Addison. They pick up recyclables all over Chicago and safely dispose of it. They have this huge recycling center. Apparently, it saves them a lot in waste expenses, too.
Well, let's give Combined Resources a call.
Since 1986, Combined Resources, Inc. has been your one-stop shop recycling and sustainability partner. CRI's programs reduce labor and hauling costs, boost rebate returns, and help your company go green. If your company has paper, cardboard, plastic, pallets, and metal that you want cleared and recycled, CRI will take care of it all and help you meet sustainability goals. Call 877-CRI-PLAS and learn how CRI supports smarter recycling at combinedresources.us. Combined Resources, Inc. Turning waste into worth, one resource at a time.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is such a robust topic. One morning we're going to have to do almost 4 hours on it, I think. So much is happening so fast in the AI world. We're going to tackle some of it, including David Sachs's description of the sort of rank-ordered priority of AI dangers that the landscape presents at present. All things AI with Neil Chilson, former chief technologist for the FTC, currently head of AI policy at the Abundance Institute, 8:38.
But first, let's stop by that newsroom again. Here's Nikki Whaley.
Good morning. It's 62 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The Israeli military says aid distribution centers in Gaza are being shut down as roads leading to sites have become combat zones.
The Israel Defense Forces says people will be prohibited from entering the centers or traveling on roads leading to them. Hamas officials say over 24 Palestinians were killed near an aid center by the Israeli military early Tuesday. U.S.-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation says it hopes to resume distributing aid again on Thursday. I'm Michael Kastner.
The Nintendo Switch hits shelves this week, theoretically. All major retailers are sold out through pre-orders, but Best Buy, GameStop, and Target have confirmed they'll have restocked by launch day tomorrow. The console is priced at $449 or $499 bundled with Mario Kart World. With summer traveling taking off, the CDC urges Americans to get their measles vaccines before flying overseas. Health officials say most measles cases are tied to international travel and the risk of bringing it back is high. The CDC points to Yemen, India, and Pakistan as current hotspots. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Hugh Hewitt explains what the bill will do for America.
And the One Big Beautiful Bill Act extends the Trump tax cuts of 2017, makes them better, deeper, wider, stronger, more growth-oriented. So we want that to get through the Senate so we can have a growth economy.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $257. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part? My guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side. Your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Last year, Mitch, 50, railroad worker, income 100 G's a year, score 630, called to consolidate his debt with a cash-out refinance. Team Hochberg loan officer Johnny Hendrickson helped Mitch pay off his debt and save $800 a month. Johnny called Mitch for a 6-month post-closing checkup and informed him his credit score was now over 700. Then Johnny helped Mitch lower his rate, remove the PMI, and save him another $400 a month while covering all his closing costs. Let's review. Team Hochberg loan officer Johnny Hendrickson helped Mitch eliminate his debt, save $1,200 a month, and improve his scores over 100 points. Team Hochberg's helped thousands of radio listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 or visit that website you know you love, 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NLS 1124061.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. The Trump administration notched another win at the Supreme Court last week. The court stayed a lower court's ruling, which had blocked the president from revoking protected status to 500,000 migrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. This decision paves the way for these immigrants to be removed from the United States. A district court judge had barred DHS from terminating the program without providing a case-by-case review for each of the 500,000 illegal immigrants. An appeals court refused to stay that holding. The Supreme Court's decision is a welcome one, but it shouldn't be surprising. Executive power is at its zenith when it comes to managing foreign policy, which encompasses immigration. What's more, the holding is really the bare minimum in interpreting immigration law. By removing those in our country illegally, the Trump administration is simply enforcing the laws as written.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 18 minutes, 22 minutes outbound. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 63 minutes, outbound about 39 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 44 minutes, outbound about 41 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 46 minutes, outbound about 31 minutes. This report is sponsored by Dairy Queen. Hurry into DQ for their sauced and tossed chicken strip baskets with flavor from top, bottom, and everywhere in between. Try them in Honey Barbecue or New Buffalo, only at DQ. Happy tastes good, only at participating Dairy Queen locations. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Clouds and periods of rain. Thunderstorm for today. Could be some ponding on the roads. Watch out for that if you're driving today. Highs near 60. Partly cloudy for tonight, low 53. Clouds and sun, nice day tomorrow, the high at 75. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Time for an AI discussion. I mean, there are so many nuances and avenues to take here. Let's just start with this one. That AI is becoming, and maybe is already there in large measure, indistinguishable from reality. In other words, you see something that looks like a newscast, looks like a local newscast. It's AI, but it's indistinguishable from watching your local network affiliate news, except perhaps maybe the content. But in terms of presentation, you see somebody talking outside of a sporting event. It is indistinguishable from a real person outside a stadium somewhere talking. Listen to this mashup. This is all AI, and you'll tell because it's disclosed. But you just listen to it, and then if you actually watch this mashup video, it's remarkable how real it is.
In a stunning development, Canada has declared war on the United States. Let's go to Joe Braxton, who is live at the border.
I'm currently at the border, but there is no war. Mom, Dad, I know this looks kind of real, but it's all AI.
Grandpa, I'm fine.
This is just AI. You don't need to wire money to anyone. I am not in love with you. And I do not need your money for a plane ticket. I am AI.
All the various
This
online
fake moon
scams.
landing footage isn't classified. It's AI.
You're probably wondering how I got rich with crypto. The truth is, I didn't get rich off crypto. I don't even exist.
You might be able to tell this is fake now, but it's going to keep getting better.
We're all AI.
There could be aliens, but I'm not one of them. I'm AI.
An herbal supplement did not cure my cancer. I'm not even real.
I mean, it's the whole thing is like an episode of Black Mirror. And David Sachs and his colleagues took up a review of the risks associated with AI that most concern them. David Sachs most concerns him as it develops at a incredible pace. David Sachs and the All In podcast, Trump's crypto czar, if you will. Here's his description of the landscape of risk and which risk he puts at the top of the sort of hierarchy.
There is some non-zero risk of AI growing into a superintelligence that's beyond our control. They have a name for that. They call it X risk or existential risk. I think it's very hard to put a percentage on that. I'm willing to acknowledge that is a risk. You know, I think about that all the time, and I do think we should be concerned about it. But there's two problems, I think, with this approach. Number one is X risk is not the only kind of risk. I would say that China winning the AI race is a huge risk. I don't really want to see a CCP AI running the world. And if you hobble our own innovation, our own AI efforts in the name of stomping out every possibility of X risk, then you probably end up losing the AI race to China because they're not going to abide by those same regulations. So again, you can't optimize for solving only one risk while ignoring all the others. And I would say the risk of China winning the AI race is, you know, it might be like 30%, whereas I think X risk is probably a much lower percentage. So there are other risks to worry about. And I do think that they are single-mindedly focused on scaring people with some of these headlines around, first it was the bioweapons, then it was the superintelligence, now it's the job loss. And I think it's a tried and true tactic of people who want to give more power to the government to scare the population, right? Because if you can scare the population and make them fearful, then they will cry out for the government to solve the problem. And that's what I see here, is that you've got this elaborate network of front organizations, which are all motivated by this EA ideology. They're funded by a hardcore leftist. And by the way, I became aware of Dustin's politics because of the Chesa Boudin recall. I found out that he was a big funder of Chesa Boudin. Remember this?
Yeah.
Dustin Mosmus and Carrie Tuna, his wife. Also, Reed Hastings just joined the board of Anthropic. Remember when he, back in 2016, tried to drive Peter Thiel off of the board of Facebook for supporting Trump. So, you know, these are like committed leftists. They're Trump haters. But the point is that these are people who fundamentally believe in empowering government to the maximum extent. More government and empowering government to the maximum extent. Now, my problem with that is I actually think that probably the single greatest dystopian risk associated with AI is the risk that government uses it to control all of us. To me, like, you end up in some sort of Orwellian future where AI is controlled by the government. And out of all the risks we've talked about, that's the only one for which I've seen tangible evidence. So in other words, if you go back to last year when we had the whole woke AI, there was plenty of evidence that the people who were creating these products were infusing their left-wing or woke values into the product to the point where it was lying to all of us and it was rewriting history. And there was plenty of evidence that the Biden EO was trying to enshrine that idea. It was basically trying to require DEI be infused into AI models. And it wanted to anoint 2 or 3 winners in this AI race. So I'm quite convinced that prior to Donald Trump winning the election, we were on a path of global compute governance where 2 or 3 big AI companies were going to be anointed as the winners. And the quid pro quo is that they were going to infuse those AI models with woke values. And there was plenty of evidence for that. You look at the policies, you look at the models. This was not a theoretical concern. This was real. And I think the only reason why we've moved off of that trajectory is because of Trump's election, but we could very easily be moved back onto that trajectory.
Dustin Moskovitz, he's talking about co-founder of Facebook, billionaire, Reed Hastings, LinkedIn, billionaire. The EA is Effective Altruism, who Sam Bankman-Fried was perhaps the most prominent champion of before his immolation. So as Sachs is saying, basically, woke billionaires funding politically programmed AI, that rewrites history and trains your kids to obey. That's what he sees as the greatest threat as AI is in development at present. Neil Chilson is the former chief technologist for the FTC, currently head of AI policy at the Abundance Institute. His Substack, outofcontrol.substack.com, out of control at Substack. Neil, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
It's great to be here.
Do you agree with Sachs's sort of threat assessment, if you will?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that giving or letting government be the of how these tools are shaped, which is what a lot of these regulatory proposals suggest, raises a giant risk because government, we've seen already in the social media space, the interaction between government and social media, and that was a space where the government sort of had to like weave its way in. So if they could have started at the start basically controlling this industry, I think it would have been a real problem. And I think it would have been a threat to American values, but also to American innovation. And so I do agree with Sachs there.
So does the stories out this week, he sort of referenced them, like AI is learning to escape human control, OpenAI's an OpenAI model took a sample script that would shut off the model when triggered, and in 79 out of 100 trials, O3 independently edited that script so the shutdown command would no longer work. And so of course, this is the prospect of, the robot takeover, if you will. That is that a misdirection play, as Sachs is sort of indicating, or is this something that needs to be addressed as well?
Well, I mean, the op-ed that you're talking about, I think, largely took that test out of context. These types of tests are pretty normal, but the truth is, we don't have to ask AI right now whether or not we should shut them down. And so this script is a totally artificial test to see if how the models might react to various different questions, but it's completely hypothetical in that front. And so I think the way that it was characterized in the op-ed is somewhat sensationalized, given that right now it's just coming back with text and we're asking it questions. It's not a real test about whether or not it would fight back on such things. And right now there is zero indication that these systems have that capability.
Then what about the reports that if you try and shut it down, that it's going to blackmail you and reach your wife somehow and tell her that you're having an affair?
Yeah, so it's funny because these tools are conversationally, right? These are tests that are happening where you're just typing in text, a prompt, and you're getting back a text response. And so these tools are not thinking, they don't have a world model the way that you and I have a world model. What they are doing is basically extrapolating from all the different conversations that they've seen on the web about how they might push back against something like this, right? Mm-hmm. And so the idea is largely that they're telling a story. You have given them a role to play in this story. The role is a AI that pushes back on this, and they are playing that role. They don't have a mental model or a desire to serve that role. That it is basically they're trying to fit the request that you are asking to them. And so I think a lot of these tests are useful, interesting, but they need to be put in the right context of what's actually capable in these models. And they are not capable right now of, blackmailing you to your wife.
They're still in the language learning model phase, right?
Sexting.
Yeah, very much so.
And so one of the other threats that is being bandied about against sex, reference it, job losses. Joe Lonsdale, the co-founder of Palantir Venture Capitalist, was at that Reagan National Economic Forum, and he said, there's going to be upheaval, but very much like with the advent of the internet, it's going to take longer than you think. It is going to be uneven. I mean, it's sort of the William Gibson, the future is here, but it's unevenly distributed. And so that's sort of how it's going to play out with AI. So the idea of massive job losses across sector in short order is probably overhyped.
Yeah, so much of that is premised on this idea that somehow AI is going to be able to solve a lot of complex economic problems as well. And the truth is, we have superintelligence right now. It is our economy and our markets, right? They do things that no one of us can figure out how to do, and that nobody really fully understands the entire process. And so AI is going to have to be incorporated into that already existing superintelligence. And that's going to be a long process because it's a complex system that has lots of levers that push back. And so I think these really powerful tools are going to bring a lot of changes, but they're going to be changes in the context of an already extremely complex human society and market system that does amazing things right now and is going to do many more amazing things given these powerful tools.
Yeah, I just to build on that, I wanted to play this clip of Wharton Business School professor Ethan Mollick, who studies AI and did this interview about sort of AI as entrepreneur, AI to replace the entrepreneurial capitalist, and it's, as you're suggesting, it's more complicated than you think.
You can whip up a product in hours, right? Now, anybody that scaled a product knows that product that you're whipping up in hours is just a prototype. There's no, but it's only a matter of time, Ethan, that we'll see.
Well, that's the question, right? Right now, prototyping, amazing. Advice on scaling, quite good. I mean, it does a really good job on pricing. You could do, we get more sophisticated, right? Other things it does, vibe coding, absolutely. Non-coders, you get like a great prototype. Actual coders who are top, 1% pro coders are 100 times more productive. Like there's huge gains, right?
Yeah.
For people who've ever had to price something, the AI does a really good job with simulated pricing, both by doing research, but also you can do conjoint analysis on AI preferences and get good outcomes. Like there's a whole bunch of hard problems that get cracked by this, but it doesn't handle distribution all the way. Like I'll build the website up. It's not like I could say, go run a marketing campaign, come back when you've made me money, right? And so that's the limit right now. If we take entrepreneurship as the benchmark, we could say ideation is a pretty cracked problem, right? We could say that initial prototyping it's quite good at, but then the next stage of building and scaling, not yet. Does it get there? What it does, what does that change about entrepreneurship? Those are the big questions that we don't have answers to.
What say you, Neil?
Yeah, I mean, there's still going to be, Ethan didn't even talk about the previous problem, which is deciding what problems to try to solve, right?
Right.
That selection, that judgment, that ability of humans to say like, hey, from my experience, what do humans need? What do I want to build? What am I curious about? Certainly these tools, once you have those ideas, can help you both prototype them quickly and then in some ways scale it out. But there's a lot that goes into creating a powerful, useful product that even humans don't really know, right? So it's not a knowledge problem. It's not an intelligence problem. It's an exploration problem where you have to try things out, react to the market. And those types of reactions, I think these tools will help us do, but they're not going to replace the choice factor, the ability to make choices, the need for humans to make choices and judgments about how they use the tools.
And the race with the Chinese Communist Party, should we take an adversarial approach or should we try to negotiate some sort of, a quasi-arms control agreement when it comes to AI with an adversary like China?
Well, I think, again, this is this extremely broad technology. So if you're talking about using AI in military situations, I do think that there is a really important need for the U.S. to be a leader in that space and have enormous capability there. And there's some risk that we're behind on that, especially on the hardware side, the sort of more robotic side of AI, even though we lead pretty well on the software side. And so I do think that this is an important race dynamic. I would say the other dynamic that's here is not just in building like these big models, what they call frontier models. Like that's a race. That's the most tangible race that people see. But there's a real need for us to take the models, take the tools that have been built and incorporate them into the things that we're doing. These are powerful tools. They can really, we're not going to get the benefits of, all the benefits to healthcare, all the benefits to government services, all the benefits to, driving and transportation and lots of other spaces, unless we start actually building these systems out across our economy. And one of the big challenges there is that we have 1,000+ bills at the state level that are looking at setting up, this thicket of red tape that could totally slow down our deployment of this. And so I worry about that race dynamic. China, if they want to incorporate this, they can plow through a lot of those, including, a bunch of individual rights to do so. We have constraints that are important, but we need to be smart about how we regulate in this space so that we don't unnecessarily handicap ourselves here in the U.S.
Neil Chilson, former chief technologist for the FTC, currently head of AI policy at the Abundance Institute. You can find his writings on the topic at outofcontrol.substack.com. Neil, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
AM 560, The Answer.
Oh, a great guest this morning. We always do, but I learned a lot today. Dan, any last words before you tread out there into the dangerous weather?
Does anybody know if it's raining in Barrington? I got a golf outing I'm supposed to play in.
Oh, a foursome? I mean a foursome. I mean a scramble?
No,
or?
I don't know. It's an outing, but
okay.
I'm supposed to play up at Biltmore, but I'm